Hello everyone, Trainers of Eos Island. We are here today on a beautiful broadcast here, brought to you by, of course, Unity Clash. My name is Nitera, and of course, I am paired with the one and only Metal Warrior Kyle.
Good morning, everybody. Not quite awake yet. If you saw me streaming the some of the North America grassroots leagues, no, you didn't. Actually, you did. But yeah, just waking up. Nature and duty calls. We're here an hour earlier than normal, so this will be my only set over here. Draku will be taking you home after this, but super excited to commentate this first one versus PEPS versus Avalanche.
Yep. It's gonna be a beautiful one. It's gonna be Team PEPS, or my favorite call is PEPS Max. As we go into Avalanche here, it's gonna be a beautiful day. Moving into it, not gonna bore you too much, Kyle. It's gonna be you quite awake. Let's look at how this one goes.
All right, so we have Avalanche going to be on your purple side, PEPS on your orange side. We're taking this Magikarp. It looks like it is a regular Magikarp, so Mega Gyarados being banned. And they're also going to grab this Mimikyu. And something that has been buffed more recently is this Ceruledge. So PEPS is going to take that in their own central.
Seeing a lot of Ceruledge right now, even in the Pokemon Unite Asia Champions League here. And so hopefully it translates as well over to the EU side of things. As we go about it though, we have a little crab, Quento, in the forefront here, trying to wreak havoc against Marv right now, who also wants to wreak havoc against Oni. So it's a little chain reaction down here. On the other side though, we are seeing, and hopefully a little bit of help from, of course, our dear Magikarp get up to his levels.
Very interesting that this little Armarouge, or not Armarouge, the Charcadet kind of skipped a little bit of the central area. So you're seeing on the right side, two of those buffs not really being taken. So instead, they're going to make that move towards the enemy side, and it just kind of delayed things. So they're not going to be level 5 before these 850 birds.
Hopefully to avalanche their lead, I assume. But jokes aside, we're moving into that here. Potato making some great work against those Swablues, but Oni does the same, but onto the little doggo here. And right now, without an electric collar, I guess he's going to be staying put back into his base.
Squirtle going to try to take this away from Mewtwo. Not an easy task. Mewtwo very, very rude early on. But honestly, like, Avalanche here has kind of looked good in the early part of this game. So you got to be very happy if you're them. If you're PEPS, you need to start putting the foot on the gas sooner than later.
Yeah, that's the reason why it's called Pepsi Max, not Pepsi Minimum. You know, they gotta keep it up. Like you said here, I'm not seeing a lot of damage coming through from Avalanche as well, though. Let's be fair here. Magikarp is still Magikarp. We don't see Gyarados just yet. And while we have Mega Mewtwo Y here trying to make some headways, looks like the priority is going to be on getting the levels up here. Avalanche prioritizing Red Drago now. There's no one really there to contest them except for a Mew with a Solar Beam and somehow took it. I am not even going to call this one out a second time here. PUACR has taught me anything is that Mew is a very strong steam.
Yeah, that was very, very fortunate, but even better timed, right? Certainly skillful from you. Somehow this Wartortle gets back to safety of this T1 and really avoiding a lot of that damage from that Mewtwo. Top path, this 1v1. At first, I thought that this Gyarados might have been doing pretty well, but already you see the level disparity. Level 5 versus that level 7 regular Gyara.
I mean, look at the bottom side as well. The level disparity doesn't end there, except it's on the side of Team PEPS, who has the higher levels here with the Ceruledge at 8, 7 onto the Blastoise here, and Bruv, without the focus band, finally down for the count here. Marv locking Oni back into it here, is trying to make some headways, but it looks like he's stuck with a little bit of a rock field to block him off here. I guess the team of Avalanche is going to see if they can snowball their lead into the basement Reggie here, which this time will be the Regieleki. As the top side, we see the Reggie Bros with Reggie Rock on the field.
Yeah, I guess they're not too concerned about losing a Lucky and potentially this T1 because the top path has been going so well. The Zacian, despite getting some nerfs recently, looking pretty good against its counterpart, that regular Gyarados. Mew looking for E-Ball secure, and that's 2 for 2 from Mew.
The Revenant Red comes in here, does the damage here, not enough to get a KO, but they're going to continue the onslaught here as Gyarados takes up 2 Citrus Berries to come back at it, but losing the Elder Gods here. No support coming in, Quento is able to avoid the Solar Beam, but they're going to be losing a pretty good chunk of their pad right now. With 9 points remaining here, it looks like Zante wants to see if he can take another fight against Quento, who, I would say, bodaciously trying to take a Mew away from his team.
Yeah, almost getting that just a little bit wide left with that solar beam. Otherwise, I think Crystal goes down there. And somehow, some way, Blastoise was able to completely hold that T1 on the bot side. So Team Peps coming out ahead here really, really nicely with that buff on the top side and then holding their pad bot.
Hey, you'll be questioning one of the best defenders I've seen in EU here, bro, who's been kind of a headstrong player holding that down on his own. But right now, the team of 5-5 now. More like 3 players on the side of Team Peps here. I'm not really sure how they're going to defend this 2-point goal zone, but let's just see how this one ends up here as Prof takes a giant beating here. He tries to serve to pull them all away, and I don't think there's really an outcome here other than to pull back and wait for the team to get back together. Right now, the situation remains at 88 points to 136 points. Team Peps has the advantage in terms of levels and points, but I'm not seeing a way for Avalanche to come back. There is no way you can farm up now, up until Potato scored.
Yeah, Potato going ahead and actually breaking that pretty significantly as a nice overcap. And I actually really do like Avalanche kind of turtling there, at least a little bit, mostly because there wasn't really an objective to fight over. So you don't want to expend all of those resources when there wasn't really anything to fight over. However, now we finally do have something to fight over. It's going to be this Regieleki. And with 25 points on this bottom goal zone, you're setting up Peps for a potential really big overcap if Avalanche can't steal.
Well, that's the Infinite Cyber here. No pick out of Regieleki, but a Revenant to clean this one up and also take a few damage. Hydro Typhoon to turn it back around them as they try to push away Oni though. Dragon Current tries to take down Marv, and bit by bit, they're almost making their headways through that surf. Again, pushing them back. They're able to get some ground. Avalanche slowly falling. The snow is dropping. It looks like season's over right now because all that's left is a Gyarados waiting to defend. And I've got to be honest with you, I don't see an Avalanche after that one.
No, not even a little bit. I mean, look into this Gyarados, and we're at the 4-minute mark, right? So starting to kind of see exactly how this match is going, and it's a pretty significant lead for Peps. They've broken both the top and the bottom T1 with, might add, a pretty good overcap. So it's going to be up to Avalanche to see if they are able to not only get some points into the enemy T1s, but even break something before this Groudon. Something we haven't talked about today yet. So Game 1 every day, or every match today, is going to be the Groudon. So that is what we are seeing here. So there's a lack of tall grass to hide for Avalanche.
Right now, I do like this situation that we're in, especially since we're moving into the 3-minute mark here. And that's that everyone is kind of dry on the utils. Right, it's going to be a little bit slow from here, but if they want to take a fight here, it's just going to be a point farm of level leads, and we're going to see how they pan this one out. Bento being the first one to fall here for the trap that is going to be the beam low. They started off here, Quento taking a chunk of damage here. The solar beam picks it up here. Rubber also invested, like I said.
Wow.
It's going to be burning resources just to take that little bit of EXP back at it again, and they find 2 for the mark here. Question is this worthwhile? They do get a point back into this, 165 to 186 to 269. Haha, funny number. But it is still a big point lead.
Yeah, not a massive overcap, but you certainly love to get a little bit closer to Peps before this first Groudon objective. And Bruv in the enemy central area looking for that buff, unfortunately unable to secure that for themselves. There's going to be this Regieleki that Peps is lining up for. She'll walk towards that T2 goal zone on the bottom side, and they're going to easily be able to secure that themselves. We have Groudon. We also have this potential Reggie Roulette, which Zacian, Umbreon, and Cerulege are all looking like they're lining up.
Ooh, really like it again. It's going to be another rock to shake up this place because I don't want to be stuck between it. But as you do see, Marv really is getting stuck next to Oni now. That's a little bit more dangerous than the Regirock here. But if I have anything to say for it, it's going to be Brav coming in from the back here to lock them out. They do have the Regirock buff here, which they can take a strong fight. Counter Card Crash comes in here to try to lock them out. Dragon Current to start an engage. But on the top side here, the damage flying through. They do pick up onto the Zero Edge here. Mega Mewtwo Y wants to dish damage here. And Brav is unable to save them. Hydro Typhoon for 4, but it's a little bit too late here as their damage healer is off the ground. Moving in for it though, we are seeing that we have 2 more players onto the field that can dish the damage here, and Blastoise is the only one stopping them from coming and advancing into Potato and Zante.
You still have a Unite move from both Mew and the Zacian. So they're going to start chipping over on this Groudon, maybe bait Avalanche into a disadvantageous fight. That's exactly what happens. Metal Claw directly into Gyarados, going to have to get healed up by Eldegoss, living on 1 HP. Just narrowly able to escape the grasps of Team Peps. Still a little bit of a lead here. 103-point advantage for Peps.
And it's not going to stop from there. I mean, they're going to continue to see if they can keep this lead up, though. But Team PEPS does have a level lead again, so maybe this is their time to finish it off here. Brow's coming in for damage, engaging the fight here. Serve to push in here, turns back to Quendo to see if he can stop it. The Rubber Rousel does get a stun off him, and Gyarados is getting hit by a super effective Solar Beam there, with the damage being dealt. Bruv is chasing it off here, but the bottom side here, Quendo gets knocked down by the Mew, turns it around. Bruv is going to continue chasing here. Mewtwo able to walk away just fine here, but Muff wants to catch him out. Here is coming in here. The beams are up, but the ball's not. And they do finish it up on the ground on here, finishing this one into a Team PEPS ground on finish. And now the question is, can they continue to score and push their lead further?
Unfortunate for Avalanche there. It seemed like they were able to get a couple of picks, but it was just kind of this one-by-one fight that they were trying to go for. It just wasn't the play, unfortunately, and PEPS able to kind of, divide and conquer and kind of pull everybody away. I gotta hand it to Bruv, just kind of really zoning out Avalanche, like multiple members. So if I'm Avalanche, I might be looking to either pick or ban this Blastoise away from Bruv, because I think this is too strong of a pick to just allow into his hands.
Tell me about it. I mean, I could have said any better myself. Let's take a look at the score leads and the points here, and you can definitely see how this has turned it around. I mean, really, I gotta give the MVP here to either Marv or Bruv here for doing such a masterful work, either locking down someone for the team to get a pick here, or Bruv just being so ballsy to engage here. I mean, there's a reason why he is the strongest defender, and sometimes part of the job is being the strongest offense, because that's a great defense.
Yeah, Blastoise definitely one of the best to do it right now. Very likely was probably either the first pick, if not the second or third pick, but I imagine that this was a first pick here for Bruv on this Pokemon. Very versatile Pokemon. You could play it as a damage carry. You could play it as that true defender. Obviously playing it more of that true defender, but certainly not a lack of damage on this Blastoise's part. 171 points scored, 4 KOs, 6 assists. I mean, they're doing a lot of heavy lifting on this Pokemon.
Tell me about it. Now, as we take a look at the numbers, though, very, very low across the board. I mean, when you're not taking a lot of fights and you're just getting KOs after KOs, primarily through those fights, you're not going to see high numbers. But we are going to call out that Zante does have a good chunk of the damage here, 88,000. And I mean, when you are the Solar Beam Master, I think well-deserved 88k. Otherwise, we're not looking too much into the rest of the numbers here, as nothing too noteworthy. Fights and skirmishes were very short and sweet.
Yeah, Zante kind of leading the charge, especially with the 88k damage on this Mew. Mew, not a Pokemon that often gets picked in the current meta, but it still has some play for very skilled trainers on this Pokemon. Looking at the objectives, I mean, nothing too surprising here. Every single objective went the way of Team PEPS, with the exception of a single Regieleki. So when that happens, yeah, you're going to be climbing an uphill battle, unable to really get anything done for Avalanche. And yeah, I mean, PEPS pretty much kind of controlled that front to back.
Right. Now, of course, what can they possibly do here? I mean, have you tried bribing Eidos, maybe? I don't know,
possible.
Man. Like, anything works at this point. I mean, PEPS, they're just, I'm not really sure. I'll be honest with you, they run the same lineup again. I feel like, a lot of things need to change on the side of Avalanche here. It's going to be a snowball defeat rather than a snowball victory. I don't think Quento was wrong in his pick. I don't think Gyarados was wrong. I don't think Mewtwo Y was wrong. I really can't give you an answer here. In fact, my knowledge, well, I think it precedes me now.
I don't know. I feel like the Gyarados might not have been the best pick. I mean, regular Gyarados is fine, but there are a lot of really good all-rounders here. One thing that we did see yesterday that I thought was an interesting pick was a Metagross. I don't think Metagross would have worked here just because you have to deal with that Mew, which you kind of need some sort of speedster. I think that's kind of where we might have fell a little bit short. Something to kind of control this Mew, because you look at the damage taken. Only took 14k. It's just tough to, have anything that's not a speedster get this thing, because it's very slippery, right? Like, there's so many tools in its kit to dodge a lot of cooldowns. So really need to invest something into this Mew, because Zante, one of the best ones to do it. Certainly Mimikyu did a lot there to try to fill that sort of speedster role, but just Mew only taking a sneeze and maybe like a nice little pat on the head that entire match.
Yeah, I would like to see if we can get into either a replay or to check the moveset here, since we do have some time moving into it. But no. I am the moveset, I guess. Moveset A, moveset B, am I right?
For what Pokemon?
For all the Pokemon, actually. Because I think it really kind of determines, especially that match, where it's like, you kind of want to play Mimikyu as a assassin mod, right? You were saying that, they want to give them a pat on the head. Maybe not a pat on the head, maybe a little bit more rough up back, but I feel like if we can see the movesets, we'll know a bit better on how they really try to find their strategy. Or if it's a misclick, I mean, absolutely fine as well. Bamboozle me. But right now, question remains here. We are 1 point into Team PEPS, and whether they can pick up a second point to get a 2-0, or will Avalanche finishes off with a 1-pointer up. But, Kyle?
Yeah.
Like I said, I have a feeling the 2-0 is a little bit strong here, and aside from the fact that maybe Gyarados can be switched up for something a little bit more early game focus as well, a little bit more stable early game, I am not advised Avalanche.
Yeah, it's tough here, right? I mean, you're already sitting 0-3 on this season. Now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, every match that they've played, they have lost. So 0-6, now 0-7 for the map score. Not a great start, not a position that you want to be if you're Avalanche. You'd certainly love to find a way to steal a game from one of the best teams in EU right now. I mean, this is a very notable squad. A lot of very decorated players in terms of finishes here. I'm not sure what you do if you're Avalanche. I mean, hopes, prayers. I mean, this is Team PEPS is pretty insane. Are you playing Psyduck? No, I think it was banned. It was banned in the last match.
It was banned as well.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I have been watching a lot of the Asia side of things, and one of the biased picks, I would say, maybe biased because I've only been watching one team throughout their run, is Psyduck. And arguably, I mean, the joke is that if Psyduck could go invisible, I think the game is broken, but Psyduck's so strong. Strong passive, strong Unite move, a lot of disruption. I mean, of course, there's also Suicune that you can pick onto the field here. Arguably one of the most balanced card control mods you can find that can fit into every composition wherever you put him. So there's so many mods that you can pick that is a great standalone here, but I can't suggest that to Avalanche because it feels like they kind of have a lot of things wrapped up here and they don't need that extra. If they took up their composition, like if they took up Mimikyu, then it would really be to find maybe a Talonflame, a Cypher in replacement, rather than, putting in a Suicune to do the dirty work. Which just doesn't feel right, and so on and so forth. It just doesn't feel like Suicune could fit anywhere, and they had to rebuild the comp if they wanted to try.
Yeah, there's also like the lack of Lucario. I can't remember if we had a ban on either Lucario. I know at least regular Lucario was available.
There's a Mega Lucario ban.
Yeah, Mega Lucario was banned, right?
Yeah. In fact, I believe you were helping me out as well, yeah? Someone was saying Lucario doesn't deserve, I don't know, his movie, poster child treatment. I don't know. There's a guy named
Slander.
Was it Bolo? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was Bolo. Yeah, Bolo. Be on the lookout.
Bolo,
yeah. I don't even know who that guy is.
It indeed be. But that being said, though, maybe you're right. Lucario could be a stronger pick here, although I do tend to favor his Mega variant right now because of varying reasons. He just doesn't feel as good anymore, and having to invest an item just for it, just doesn't feel good.
I'll be interested to see how it goes into game number 2. I feel like, I imagine, knowing that we had a loss for Avalanche, they're going to have the opportunity to pick which side that they want to go on, if they want to take that first pick, if they want side selection or if they want map selection. They'll have that option first. So we'll see if we're going to go and switch to a Kyogre map or maybe make any sort of pivots there. We'll also see who's going to be on that purple side versus orange side. Seen a lot of teams kind of select that second pick side just because they have a little bit more opportunity to get a couple of power picks and yielding just a single one over to Avalanche or a single one over to PEPS, which would be maybe pretty advantageous. But also you kind of sit yourself in that last pick slot, which allows you to kind of fully see what the enemy is locking in and have that final pick, that final piece of your puzzle to maybe be that game changer that you can kind of totally counter your opponent.
I'm gonna be on a split here. I've always been one to say that, first mover's advantage gets a lot more value. Because, I do agree that, being the last pick, you get so much options where you can okay, I know what I'm going to pick. I know what I'm going to counter. I just feel like if you could pick good mods, like if I could pick my full team of 5, there's got to be a Suicune somewhere. There's going to be a Mega Lucario somewhere. There's going to be a Delmai somewhere. And the rest of the team I just supports. Maybe a Snorlax and then a Blissey. Like, that would be my perfect team. And I feel like first mover's advantage for any of those 5 mods that I've just listed, except maybe Delmai's, is perfect.
Yeah,
right?
we'll see. We'll see which way they want to go. So this is going to be game 2, PEPS, Avalanche. If you're Avalanche, you need something here. You're 0-3, 0-7.
You need a win.
You need something here. You certainly don't want to be 0-5 to kick off your EU league season. It's just not a good spot to sit yourself in. So I don't know. I think PEPS is, going into this, they were 2-1. Not only that, but just kind of maybe a fan favorite. Maybe just kind of a team that a lot of people thought would perform given their roster. And they certainly showed up. If I'm not mistaken, their only loss was to BH3 Esport, which, if I'm not mistaken, sitting on the top of the leaderboard 3-0. So everybody that's played them has also lost to BH3.
Which, to be fair to them, right? I mean, we're being fair to them here. Hey, not every team's gonna beat BH3.
True.
Strong team. No, if any team's gonna beat them, it's gonna be PEPS. Right? It's gonna be a tough one across the board. But let's see how it goes here. The games are gonna start here, and we'll figure out how they can better manage, better move around the issues at hand. And we'll know whether they can actually make it work. I mean, look, we've got production on the clock here. I see a Surf Edge. Very illegal, but well worth the time. But let's begin.
Let us begin. Okay. So, taking a look at the composition, Potato, once again, loves the Zacian, despite all the nerfs that this Pokemon has received.
Hey,
still looks pretty good.
He paid for the skin. He's got to use it.
You paid for that battle pass. You're certainly going to use it. So let's get into game number 2 here.
Right, starting it off here, I don't think there's really much change aside from the fact that we're going to see a Galarian Rapidash back into the fray here as compared to whatever it is that they were running that absolutely, just worked, and they just decided, yeah, we're gonna switch it up. Sure, buddy, sure. On the other side, though, we're gonna be seeing Darkrai into the fray now, which is gonna be a nice switcheroo from things. Double the EVs, double the trouble. Let's see if Ed actually pans out.
Nice little Swift there to help try to secure, but it actually still goes the way of the Ponyta. Now on this hot path, Zacian versus this regular Magikarp once again, so no Mega Gyarados on the field, likely banned away. But points have already been going in for PEPS. This Galarian Ponyta already putting in work, being that disruptor.
Right. And so, I mean, I wish you could see the bands here, because you see the bottom 3 squares for each side. Those are where the bands are supposed to be, but that's okay, production. I forgive you. Move on to the other side, though. 23 points, starting off all strong, considering Galarian Ponyta has stacks going into it, considering Zacian has stacks, considering Zero Edge has stacks, considering I have stacks, you have stacks, everyone has stacks. 23 points starting it off is a very good lead here. I do believe this fight is going to be a way of Team PEPS here. They do pick up all their terrors here. They lock one out, and there's the first KO coming in. EV down for the count here. This might be a double at least. No, the sushi is not sashimi just yet, and so unfortunately, it looks like Magikarp lives another day. Moving down to the bottom side, we are looking at level 5s across the board here. Oh, we do see a big problem, and that's the team is not looking to level up just yet here. They want to stay at the level 3. Don't know for how long. Don't think they should. Quento down for the count here. They get another score point on the bot side, and right now it's looking really good for the side of Team PEPS.
16 points being held by this Snorlax, trying to just Yeah, find any sort of angle to get those points in. One thing I'm interested in here is how this Espeon is going to handle all of the damage from Team PEPS. I think you play this Espeon likely to maybe slow down this Galarian Rapidash, but a lot of the damage is being absorbed by this Snorlax, so this Galarian Rapidash is kind of going in for free. And the top side, though, Avalanche gets a nice little advantage.
It's beautiful. At this point, they might even get a KO here for themselves, and that just kind of seals the deal for them. This goal zone is theirs for the taking here, pushing it down to a measly 11 points remaining here, which is going to be fantastic for them if they want to break at any point in time here. Regidrago is spawned as well here, so they have to be careful not to just give it away just like that. That's going to be a quick burst of EXP that they can get. But it looks like they're kind of caught claws off in a weird position here. Unable to take a fight here. They're going to call their teammate Quento to see if they can make a difference maker. But I think it looks like wisely enough, Team PEPS are not opting to fight here. They know what fights to take. They know they can't win it.
Yeah, you can't win that versus Darkrai, Trevenant, and Vaporeon. Maybe pick one of those and you got it. So instead they peel towards this top side. Nice little Phantom Force to avoid some damage. There's that Muddy Water from that Vaporeon. And now they're getting pincered off by 3 members. Can this Cerulege stay alive? Nope. Darkrai putting them back into the Shadow Realm.
Right, and it's going to be a tough one. Moving into that, Quento trying to see if we can pick up Marth here. I like the positioning of Woodhammer. I don't like the fact they have no vision onto what's happening on top here on the Regieleki. But as they slowly move out here, Nex now has information. They have to just kind of pull back, and it's kind of a weird spot for them. They're going to just see if they can make a play here. They hover around. They are going to get the point drop here, and Regieleki is going to be a paid actor here and stall for time.
3 members looking to push. Instead, they're actually going to pivot towards the central area of PEPS. I actually really like that move. You're going to force this Regieleki into the T2. Not a whole lot of points, not a lot of Eos energy in their pocket, so not really a whole ton of value. Instead, it's PEPS on the bottom side that's able to kind of return favor, break that T1 bot side, and also kind of push Avalanche away from their own central area. Snorlax doing a good job of kind of making some room.
Oof. And already they do make some more room here, felling the tree down, and I guess deforestation is part of the to-do list here. Point lead now, 120 into 134. Lead is going to Avalanche here. Points! Great job. Levels! Not so much. Team PEPS has a bit more advantage to that. They also have a lot more resources to work with. We do see a Triforce be activated here. Galarian Rapidash unfortunately getting caught by 1 CC, and that marks the end of her little adventure. And that's no longer a My Little Pony friendship match.
Yeah, they're going to now counterpunch, right? Avalanche looking to push this T1 on the bottom side. This is the goal zone that they wanted to target, but actually a really good pivot there for this Umbreon and Snorlax to just kind of heal back and make sure that there's something. But now a big fight. There's that Psychic Solaire from that Espeon. Umbreon going to steal some of the shields. Avalanche pushing heavily forward into the front line. Oh. Here comes that Galarian Rapidash. There's that Revenant Ren slicing through Avalanche, and they're falling like flies.
Yes, like the anime protagonist that is, he comes around here, and of course his best friend, the dog with a sword, comes in to steal everything. What a spectacular anime betrayal right there. Top 10 if I might add. Moving into that, no, it looks like this entire central area is theirs for the taking. Team PEPS has got the map control in their hands now, and they're moving to the top side to see if they can grab one more Reggie Bro to see if they can solidify their level lead. And that's going to be the Regieleki right now, which gives them a little bit more time to work for the points that they kind of lost. Which, mind you, they did overcap, right? So Avalanche doesn't have such a big lead.
Yeah, not a huge lead, but you do have a little bit of time to try to push this T1. Instead, Snorlax actually was wisely pushing T2, but maybe even more of a heads-up play from the Espeon to pivot there to stop that point from going in. I think it was like only 20. Umbreon gonna get a nice little dunk there, just right in the face of Avalanche. But the time and space has been bought for PEPS. They're able to get that Regieleki on that top side thanks to that fight on the T1. And that also has net them this Reggie steal on the bottom side. So it's looking pretty strong here despite a little bit of a stumble in the mid game.
And they're going to continue to see if they can take this advantage to its maximum and best conclusion here. Scoreline 122 to 134. It looks like they're posturing very heavily already into the central area here, with the side of Team PEPS waiting to see if they can ambush them. But Quento walking into Marth here. A bit of a weird spot, but they do see Nex here in the corner as well. So they have information for 2 right now. It's going to be a little bit more before they see a third one here with the Gyarados. And a fourth one coming in. It's going to be the Darkrai organization.
We're going to hang out. It is Kyogre, so mean look immediately onto this Gyarados. Oh, that was a misstep there, so that's a big piece for Avalanche's puzzle. Sorry, not Kyogre, Regidrago. But still, I mean, a minute until Kyogre and then losing the Gyarados right there. Who's level 11? So you love that KO for Team Peps. We're going to put, Darkrai's going to put a couple Pokemon to sleep, return the favor. Another Unite move gets expended from Avalanche using the Espeon one there.
Ooh, this is going to be a weird spot for them here. I mean, it's not the one where you want to be in. You do get to come back into the field just before Kyogre, but at the same time, it's like, I didn't need to get the EXP. They didn't need to get any more levels here. Team Peps needs to play a little bit safer here. They have the advantage, just need to be wisened up here and not take any fights.
Nice little block there from Snorlax to avoid the sleep from Darkrai. All 5 members of Avalanche pushing onto this T1. Nice little smart strike there to separate this Vaporeon. They actually go down. Another smart strike onto the Espeon. Breaks the passive, so they're probably not going to have that for this next fight. Another smart strike onto the Trevenant this time. They burn an eject button. So a lot of tools already used from Avalanche to just survive in that moment. Points now looking to go in. 19 doublet and a 50. Now that gives a significant lead over to Peps.
Oof. 280 to 134 here. It's gonna be rough. Galarian Rapidash able to take a few hits here and there here, especially the Feather Force back up there. Dragon Current comes in to see if he can make some plays, but stuck all alone here. I'm not sure where this Dragon's gonna go. They do pick out into one on Marv. Revenant comes in. Quento taking so much damage here as he runs into the back here. He does a shing, and the Vaporeon goes down. Sliced and dice. One more for the make here. He just find a good opportunity to go into his Blur Blade. Would Hammer does clean up house against the Doggo, and I guess kind of it here. They got themselves a great position to start Kyogre. Now is their time. However, they missed this window here. It is going to be detrimental. It looks like, unfortunately for them here, it is going to be a little rough to turn this around, even if they did try and start the rip on Kyogre. There lies the problem. 3 down the side, 2 down on Team Peps. Should they go for it now with OD down?
4 KO streak for this Umbreon. They don't even need to go for it if they don't want to. They could just kind of defend their goal zones. I think maybe the misstep there for Avalanche was they invested a lot of resources into Bruv, who immediately went into a power nap and kind of just absorbed all of the damage that Avalanche was throwing out. And now you're looking at Peps just going to be able to collapse on Pokemon after Pokemon here.
Ooh.
Nice little Horn Leech from this Trevenant, but that's not enough to get these 3.
Bit by bit, they're inching away closer to Kyogre's end here. 20 seconds on the clock, bit by bit. They do pick up one on the Vaporeon. They do pick up one on the Espeon here. They're turning it around. It's a bit by bit. Dragon Current comes in.
Bam.
There's the slash that comes in. The World Slash himself picking it up. It's not going to be dead, but it's the world's biggest butt slam.
Yeah, that was a nice little secure there for Peps, and then also scores on the back end just to seal the deal. They are going to win this set 2-0 against Avalanche, and that's going to be a 3-1 lead, or 3-1 record for Peps going into this next match. Avalanche moving their record in the wrong direction, 0-4 to start off. 480, 220 going to be your final. Sides have swept.
Rough one to say the least here coming there. This game was definitely a lot better played, but just not the same. You know, maybe the Gyarados is the problem here. After the swap to Darkrai, after the swap to Espeon, definitely felt like there's a little bit more impact, but Gyarados just still too slow in the early game here against a team that knows how to bully it out.
True thing. Yeah, very, very unfortunate for Avalanche. I thought for a moment that they kind of had some pretty good positioning, but like we talked about, like right before that 2-minute mark, they invested a lot of resources. I thought there was an eject button from both the Espeon and the Trevenant to escape. Yeah, it's just kind of unfortunate there. I mean, Espeon looked probably like one of the best picks for them. I actually really liked this Pokemon into that Galarian Rapidash, knowing that Galarian Rapidash is just kind of hard to track down. It's so fast, but yeah, just not enough on the back end.
Right. Agree with you there. And ultimately, you can see how the numbers don't lie again. If we come down to it, very, very short brawls on the side of Team Peps here. Didn't try to overextend. There were some fights where they were like, we'll just take a fight longer than we need to. But otherwise, it looks like on the side of Avalanche, well, Espeon just happily firing blasters away, which evidently shows with the 90k damage.
Alrighty. Well, I'm tired. I think that's a good place to kind of segue into I'm going back to bed so I could get some rest.
That's fast, Kyle. That's fast. I thought we were gonna go for like one more at least, and I guess we're bouncing up real quick.
No
right.
more. I'm throwing in the towel. But that said, thanks for having me here at Unity Clash. You get more Pokemon Unite coming up. We got BH3 going to be that next set, and then KOMAI to close out the day. With that said, going to take a quick break, so don't go too far because we'll be back with more Pokemon Unite EU off-stream league after the break.
Alrighty, welcome back, everybody. I am not Steel Agent Kyle, clearly, but one thing him and I do have in common is that we're both sleepy. It is quite early for me here in California. He is in EST, I'm in PST, so I'm actually 3 hours later than him, so it is 6 a.m. Welcome in, everybody, back to the Unite Championship Series Regional League, week number 2. I got Nitera with me on the desk. You got a couple of things going on in your background there, Nitera. This is the first time I think I'm casting with you. How are you doing, dude?
I'm doing fantastic here. I'm just here to give praise to our Lord and Savior, the platypus god, first heroes. But that's just me. You're the one who's waking up early. I'm the one who's lacking the sleep. So to go into it, I think this is a perfect combination to make something work here. My laid back personality with your hyper energetic morning rush. We'll see something happen here. We've got a good lineup here in our game. It is Poulet versus BH3 Esports.
Yeah, so very similar to the last set, 3-0 on BH3 and Poulet, unfortunately, with a 0-3 start on their season. So at least history for the last set goes, you know, BH3 to go up 2-0 in this set as well. But we shall see. Poulet, of course, has a huge team to go up against, them being undefeated. Let's see if they can get their first win of the season for the Regional League.
Right, and as they go into it here, Lucario coming in hot heavy 1v2. Don't know why he's really getting himself into here, but otherwise we are seeing a little bit of invade from Saz here, starting here strong. Does not pick it up actually. Okay, so it's a nice save here against Retsu, but look at that, the defense squad coming in here. It's gonna be Suicune.
Yeah, of course, Machop is going to be by themselves in the top path. As we head down to the bottom path, Utah, 20 points going on in, and Megu, the Wonder Twins, I'd like to say. They were the prime of Gen 5 last year, making it all the way to the World Championship Series. As we head up to the top side, they did pick up Kranix, who had, in my opinion, an outstanding rookie year for their first year in the Unite Championship Series. 4 points to 23, early game lead for BH3.
Beautifully done here. They start off with a few points here. Both teams have a little bit of stacking going on anyway, so these points are definitely well deserved here. But we have Alblissi online now. Top side here, we're hoping to look at the Machop getting a little bit more buffed up here as Retsu knocked down by Lucario. Looks like level 5 is online, which means he's got that E-Speed coming in. Beautifully done on the 3-spin. And there it is. Amblock, last one standing. Let's see if he can pick himself up for at least a KO or at least try to defend this here. Stops Kranex from scoring, but it's looking a little low.
Yeah, as both teams start to disengage off of the left side of the map, really. So go ahead and take a look at the both team comps here. Unfortunately, we don't have an idea of what the draft was like, or the draft process. But looking at, you know, the lineup that we have here, very poor early game on the side of Poulet. Not necessarily in how they're playing, but in the Pokemon that they're selecting here. Cinderace in the bottom path, Machop in the top path. Not the best early game lead here for these Pokemon, and it's coming to fruition. 28 points already in for BH3.
And they're starting to carry on with this lead. Bit by bit, it's gonna pile up here. They are moving into the 7-minute mark here. Regidrago is still up, and right now, it's kind of down to which team wants to kind of play around it. Which, mind you, we do have a Dragonite that needs to get online ASAP here, but looks like the team is hopefully trying to assist him with that here as Resu tries to fight its way with this Regidrago to claim title. But no, the Duck comes in and fails instead.
Yeah, Duck's gonna get a lot of vision on the Tier 1 goal zone. 4 members in the top path here. Dragonite 1 level away of becoming a Dragonite.
Oh, there it is.
Altaria on the field as well. E-Speed Lucario going in. They're gonna go ahead and disengage. Uh-oh, being pulled by the submission. Will retract with that Bone Rush and retract back to the right side of the map. 2 frontiers of battle. Blissey on the bottom side of the map, all on their lonesome with those both Dragon types here. Kranix level 8, and both objectives on the field. Regilucky in the southern part of the map this time.
And breath of sigh of relief right here. The 2 dragons are able to make this one work against the rabbit and an egg. And that's going to be a fried egg or dessert here afterwards. You still have rabbits for dinner. Because as we go to the top side here, one of the Reggie bros have spawned here. It's going to be Reggie Steel coming about here. And it looks like the teams are kind of not postured for this. They are slowly getting their way into this fight now. With Resu starting off against the Reggie Steel all his lonesome. And Kranix joining in with the help of a Dragon's Ascent coming in from Resu.
Yeah, Registeel already brought down to less than 25%. Hyper Beam doing as it's done since day number 1 of Pokemon Unite, continuously securing those objectives. You know, Poulet, they need to make a play here. They saw 2 members in the bottom path, both those Dragon types, and did really nothing with their advantage of the top side. Kind of waited around their tier 1 goal zone. Of course, they do need to wait for Qatar to get that level 9, but they're far away from that. Submission, not the best move set for at least taking wild Pokemon off the map. More of a, I would say, supportive role for this Pokemon. They need to get that level 9. That's really when this Pokemon literally starts to evolve, both in how you play this Pokemon and its impact.
Right. And so as we get up to the levels here, the first question remains on our minds is who's going to let him be alone. The second question on our minds here is what's more impactful in the map right now, and it's going to be the 2 dragons. Twin Dragon Peaks, as you can say it here, trying to make some headways with their damage here, either with a beam or a electric ray.
Yeah, they've been feeding this Cinderace as well, heading into the central area. Both 2 rotations, last 2 rotations of that central area Pokemon. Nice submission there, full heal to block that submission, trying to get that score in of 30. Umbreon here for the defense as well, or Cannon trying to get some work done. Can they get something done though? They do get a KO on the Machoke, still struggling on levels. Level 8 on that Machoke, 1 level away, but already at the 5-minute mark, it's not where you want them to be.
And right now, let's take a look at the scoreline. Given that we're at the 5-minute mark here, it's 4 points into 178. Sorry, 4 points to 213 here. It's just going to keep scoring up and up, Ghatlue. It's not looking too good even on the level side of things here as BH3 completely dominates both ends of the argument.
Yeah, Regieleki going over to the second tier goal zone on the bottom side of the map, and a huge exodus by BH3 to that bottom lane to escort this Regieleki on through. Breaking this tier 2 goal zone will allow Regieleki to go into the tier 3 main base, and here comes the siege.
CC, but it looks like Machamp is here and he's got the barrage blows on standby waiting for opportunity, and there it is, the clash, the goal, but nothing to hold, and there it is gone. Okay, we have a duck on the back foot here getting a little bit roasted and back into base, but otherwise casualties remain low. Looks like Draco, not a lot of EXP flying back to Poulet.
Yeah, they only got a Psyduck, and they unfortunately lost their Machamp and their Unite move in that last engagement, being put in that mean look bubble. Registeel in the top path. I think one thing that Poulet really needs to worry about, of course, is this Dragonite. Its prowess on the field for securing objectives is so powerful. Here comes another Ore Cannon. Lucario Kranix finding an MVP moment there, taking that Registeel with that Darkrai, turning into the nightmare for Poulet instead of the Darkrai themselves. Here comes the Draco Impact going into the tier 2 goals. Hyper Beam misses, but the siege is starting to bleed into the central area this time, taking the wild Pokemon and also taking the objectives off of the field. That was really a win that Poulet really needed that objective, but unfortunately Kranix finding that secure and the objective and that EXP going over to BH3.
Right, and they're starting to make some headways here. Kranix looking a little low. They do take a level 12 Lucario for themselves here. Poulet, I thought you liked chicken, not little wolf dog things. I don't know what you guys doing there, but look, at the points they are standing right now, 4 points to 213 here. It's going to make a lot to make something happen there. Bottom side, we have mentioned is Regieleki here. So fighting for this objective, while it's a great strategy, it's more like of a bandage to stop the bleeding for the side of Poulet.
Yeah, hopefully they can start to take over this game with the Cinderace as it ticks on to level 12 and 13 soon. Regieleki already brought down. Ooh. And Machamp able to get that one there, actually leaving the Regieleki at about 5% HP. Unfortunately, the Dragonite was left on an island of themselves, trying to secure it by himself or themselves. 20 seconds before the final stretch, 213 to a measly 4 points on the side of Poulet. So in terms of scoreline, there's clearly one team that's ahead.
Well, here's the thing though, I hope that's not the end of Machamp's beautiful and glorious days here, because, well, we're gonna need a lot more hands on deck if you want to make a comeback against BH3 here. 2 minutes on the clock here. When there's a Groudon, the game is on.
Groudon enters the fray. Once again, 213 to 4, and always got to have your eyes on that Dragonite, starting to get those Dragon Den stacks on the center objective. Submission Machamp kind of just around in its own central area here, not really getting any vision for the team. And yeah, I don't know how they're going to do this. They're going to have to try to secure it away from the Dragonite. It's going to be so difficult to do, Natera.
Raffy here, it's gonna be dinner tonight. They've got the eggs on the side. Again, the rabbit spoon is just waiting to be served up together, but looks like Raffy's backing out here. Our dear Cinder is able to make it out of there. Groudon's at 50%. It's looking really bad. Ambok in this weird position against Stars here. It looks like they're trying to do it. Retsu trying to push its way through here through Groudon. Stars relentless in its fight. There is start here. Barrage Ball coming in. No, the pickup is going to be on Lucario onto the Machamp and a finish off on Groudon. And this is going to be devastating as they continue to make their way into the goal zone here. See if they can make any sort of defense.
Yeah, Karnix once again with an unbelievable secure, not only on the Registeel in the top path, but also the center area Pokemon in that Groudon. Scoring now on the tier 3 goal zone, 44 points going in, 98. It's going to set that for a huge overcap, doesn't matter, 24 points going in. And I think the writing's on the wall in the Terra. 40 seconds remaining, only 4 points on the side of Ghatlue, not even hitting the double-digit margin. Yeah, this is going to the next game. We can already start talking about the adaptations for this one. I think it's pretty clear for the adaptations. The early game is pretty abysmal on their team. You know, having a Cinderace in the lane. You know, Machop is okay in the early game, but Submission Machamp, again, is more of a supportive all-rounder rather than a all-rounder that really takes up space, something that's, you know, like a Mega Lucario or a Buzzwole that likes to take space in the front line. Yeah, Submission Machamp doesn't really have those same opportunities. Maybe if it was the other moveset, but it struggles in both taking EXP off of the field, and we all know what happened with experience share over the last couple of months. It's a lot more difficult to get experience on the other side of the field. So for a Pokemon like Submission Machamp specifically, it's hard to get that Pokemon to level 9, and that's where you want this Pokemon to be, at least at the 6-minute mark, in my opinion.
Absolutely agree with whatever you just said. It is definitely true that we have seen a tank in terms of a lot of the items that we've tried and true supports love to use, EXP share. Wouldn't say it's out of the meta just yet, but how everything has been going about in this game, can definitely see and feel the impact just with that alone. I don't think either teams played really badly. In particular, they definitely played to their outs here. I mean, Katar's a little slow leveling up here. Esu was quite fast to hit Dragon Knights out and about. And of course, well, the problem is I feel like Poulet came in with the wrong mindset. You know, they like chicken, but their opponent's a duck. I don't need to figure out how to work around that. But that's how I feel the games could have gone. It's still very even-sided as we look into the damage side of things. 88,000 on Utah. Can you really say much about that, considering he's just been spraying the electric ray all across the map?
I mean, I think Baridon's one of the most consistent attackers in the game. It has been ever since it's been dropped, I think more than a year ago now, since this Pokemon has entered the Theia Sky Ruins. But, I mean, like, kind of just going off of my conversation that I was bringing up earlier about tempo in the game, right? I was talking about Poulet. They have really poor early game, whereas BH3, right, they have a couple of components that kind of struggle in the early game. Looking at that Dragonite in particular, maybe the Umbreon has that same argument too, but they bolster up that early game with having 3 Pokemon that do not evolve, right? Talk about this Miraidon, Psyduck, and this Lucario. Very good early game Pokemon, very good tempo Pokemon that kind of slow down in the middle, late part of the game, but it doesn't matter because once they start to slow down, this Dragonite starts to heat up towards the middle and end points of the game, right? So they have really good tempo at all stages of the game, whereas Poulet really put all of their marbles in towards the end stages of the game. Like, maybe the Darkrai early game is okay, maybe the Blissey has pretty decent secure, same thing with the Suicune, but really, these two Pokemon, 21,000 damage on the Machamp and then 23,000 damage on the Cinderace is not great.
Right, and as you take a look at the replays here, can definitely see how that pans out here. When the Lucario is at level 8 here, and once we see Resu back up and online, the game is a lot different, right? One Hyper Beam changes it so much. There's the pickup from Lucario with the heads up, followed by the beam for Resu. And you can definitely see how it bridges the gap between the early game to the mid game and even the late game here with Dragonite actually making such a big headway. But again, like I said, one thing I did mention is Katar on the Machamp. Hopefully the impact doesn't end after the steal at the bottom with the Regieleki here. And well, what can I say? It really did kind of fall short here. You're a little underhanded.
Yeah. There's a lot of other all-rounders that have, I think, in my opinion, better crowd control presence than Submission Machamp. And I think the ability itself is also just kind of odd, too. Because, like, sometimes you're able to grab an enemy Pokemon, sometimes you're just hugging the air for whatever reason, and this is exactly the bottom right side of your screen, exactly what was happening for all of the game for Qatar, struggling in the early game, and then once they did get to Machamp, they were put in a bubble, right? So it was just tough for them to really do anything. I think some other Pokemon that would do really well, I'm a huge fan of Buzzwole. It's like one of my most played all-rounders. I don't know, know if it's banned, but probably not because it's not really a ban all-rounder at this point of the metagame right now. But I think this is where they had a lucky break here, where the Dragonite was left at about 5%. This was some life here,
Zoom.
but yeah, you can see
Zoom
here
on
the
my
rest
champ.
of
Zoom.
BH3 was right around. Yeah, they were right in the tall grass there. Got the cross chop confirmation there. But I mean, like, lucky break for Poulet, but we saw a couple of instances here where BH3, they have different securing tools, right? They had Lucario already secure 2 objectives here. Aura Cannon is also a very good securing tool. Right alongside that Dragonite, they already have 2 different tools to secure objectives.
That's just so sad. Like, if you just roll back the clip a little bit, you can see how so much damage was taken by the Blazing Bicycle Kick. Like, just stop there at the Blazing Bicycle Kick, and you can see how much damage Machamp took running into it, which was in line with the Aura Cannon for Lucario. So let's take a short look there. There's the kick. There's the pause. Look at the damage on Guitar. There it's KO potential. Groudon's on KO potential. Aura Cannon pops in. Bursted out of Machamp, right? That was just very upsetting, to say the least. But if we can even zoom even more, you can see how much damage that is. I think there was even a number that popped up there, 600.
Yeah, there was a lot of different abilities dropping on Groudon at that point. I think there was also a Unite move from the Miraidon as well, the Bright Future Meteor Storm that was kind of from the right side of the screen there. But I think I've kind of been touching on it throughout this entire game. I think it's really just checking the tempo of the Pokemon that you're bringing up here, and I think BH3 in terms of like their communication in the draft, like I feel like they've put together a very robust lineup. They have really good tempo, like I've been saying, but they also have really good securing tools too. And then of course Unite is all about securing objectives and then using those advantages to score on the enemy team, and they've clearly did that.
I think that's one other thing, right? When you talk about tempo here, then I want to see the teams go up one level, right? If we're going to say this is the highest level that BH3 can go, I'm saying that's wrong. Let me see them go into the Hooper, right? Let them set themselves up for a faster rotation, you know? Maybe drop a support because they're so strong, they know what they're doing, to be faster at everything else so that the team has to play catch up rather than keep taking fights. I want to see that. For Poulet's side, maybe it's more of a more tried and true composition. Have something a little bit bulky, something a bit simple that actually works out. Have a Suicune with a Snorlax, for example. You know? And while you do that, thank you for like celebrating the successes, of course.
I mean, if there's one thing that they were at a clear deficit, is that they didn't have their name buff. They don't have where's the Blaziken? No chicken.
Is that a CHK at the back or the front? Alright. Going into this, BH3 is on your purple side, Poulet is on your orange side here. It looks like it's going to be a Scyther gaming here. And as I call it here, BH3 accelerating the tempo. We do see Hoopa coming into the fray here. So this is going to be interesting. But Scyther is going to be on the top side here. We might see some Scissor gaming.
A double defender as well on BH3 with the Dwebble and the Phantom heading up. That is Serena in the central area. Hoopa getting some vision on the Cinderace and Chansey heading up to the top. A very bulky lineup for BH3. So this is very different. They're going to be more focusing on team fighting rather than getting those objectives and having a huge presence in that front line. This Espeon should feel very tough game.
Never ever would I see the day that Serena is back in the central area, but sure, let's go around with it. Top side here, we're gonna see Hoopa and a little Phantom here trying to make some headways against Impulse and Qatar on the Scyther. But right now, it looks like it's gonna be even Stevens here. No stealing. Fair play across the board.
Roomba's gonna head back to the right side, grab a Citrus Berry before setting up for the 850 Birds Ratsu. Grab those Natsus before heading up to the top path. I think the junglers went ahead and split. Cranix to the bottom path, Mimikyu up to the top path.
Raffi in a really weird spot, rocking a hard place. On the top side though, it's gonna be Resu, who's just kind of giving them a hard time. Very different across the board. 20 for the Skirts goal here, dropping in 8 and now 20 on the side with Mimikyu. That is a 48 total, and he's able to even collect himself a free buff on Escavalier here. Great start. They might be able to take against Cranix, which right now looking a little low. He comes back in, gets a portal back out, thankfully, but I think Resu is able to rush away just fine.
Yeah, Kratos is actually going to go in on Rats. Is going to chase them all the way to their own central area. Grab that Salic bar to get a speed boost here, making sure they have those Queenly Ascendant stacks to potentially get a third ability in. They do escape to the Hoopa Hyperspace Portal and almost back at full HP and decides to go in again. And Ratsu, 1 HP, is able to make it back to their own central area.
Tough call, to say the least. 26-51 is the scoreline here, looking a lot more even across the board. But as we look at it, if my red here, gonna take a little bit of a hit with the team, but right now, Red struggles. The next team you want to look and it looks like PH3 is slowly to pull them away before going for it.
Yeah, I wonder where Serena was picked in this lineup. When I look at Ghatlue Poulet, it kind of leads me to believe it was towards the end of their draft, maybe 4-5, for example. This drop kick, it does reduce physical attack damage of anyone that's in that blanket or that, I guess, brownish, I wouldn't say red carpet, but brownish carpet that's laid down there. And you can see here, Ratsu, with that Qatar, they really want to get this Pokemon online. Very different than the last game where this Machop or Machoke was sitting at level 5 at the 7-minute mark.
Right, and so as we move into that, now the objectives are all spawned here, all the Reggies in each zone up and about here. In the basement, we do have the Reggie brothers top side here. We are gonna have the Reggie Lecky to work this way out here. Boogie the Bug side here, it looks like this tree is ready to see if it can take a home into Resu here, but no, I don't see any headways here as they slowly make their way with Serena, the Plantation Menace here, trying to make a headway, gets the Reggie Lecky, and right now, see if you can barrel down Traffy. Bottom side here, the Rabbit wants to take down Reggie Ice, a great combination when it comes to fire and ice.
Reggie Alecki into the tier 1 goal zone. Guitar takes a side shot, grabs a Citrus Berry. They're going to go ahead and vacate this tier 1 goal zone. They don't decide to break it, so depriving them of any NDDs in that top path for not breaking that goal zone. Traffy trying to push on forward, but the Hoopa Hyperspace Portal is going to push them to come bring them down. Queenly Ascendant bringing that bunny up to the sky and bringing them back down to their grave and finding another Piloswine as well. It's going to be another KO for BH3, and yeah, they're going to potentially break a goal zone here fairly soon, and these goal zones on the side of BH3, they are fairly healthy still, and that's going to be very advantageous for this Hoopa. They're going to have Highway completely intact here and continue to have the onslaught on the right side of the field.
Right, and you actually point out something really important, which is the tempo game and the highway. Because if they're able to run around the map fast, that's going to be a very big plus for them. Which right now, let's say they finish this, what is Qatar and Mbok going to do with their 57 points, right? Only one of them can score technically. We're gonna see the Great Illusion Die come in here with the bicycle kick, push in, the Phantom Force is invested, they're trying to take a fight against Resu. They do pick this up for one, turns it around here, Kratos is able to return the favor and join in the fight, but then we see the Psychic Solaire pushing back, trying to make damage. Qatar looking low, that's the KO. Finally, finishing it off here is gonna be Kratos who's looking a little bit low. Maybe
oh, huge!
Comes in with the Rubber Rouser, gets the stun here, we might get a Traffy, we might get an Embo, but not for the back here. We're gonna see Mimikyu go down for the count here. There's the first pickup, turning around, there's the Piloswine. Fast and back here is going to be an egg that's going to be crushed down. Mbok stuck alone here. We see quickly send us onto Traffy, and now the buddy has been felled. It's now time to get some egg with a side of rabbit.
What a huge defense for BH3, finding 3 members with that X-Scissor into that Rock 2, followed by that Rubble Rouser, really quelled the fire of Ghatlue Poulet. They tried to make a play there, and they really needed to, right? Like I was saying, they really needed to break this highway, because look at this presence that BH3 has on the field. They were all in the top path, and all of a sudden, they're all in the bottom path, all by this Pokemon here, the Portal Pokemon. They don't have any donuts in this game, but it has been very sweet to see this highway intact.
Right, and again, they have so much control over the map, right? BH3 has the tempo. Once they finish the top side, Reggie Lecky is going to fly back down at any time here. There we go. See, SPL's now back into the fray here. He's able to help his team. Of course, they're getting a little bit squashed here because of the tempo play that they didn't have their teammates here. It was a 5v4 for quite a bit here, and it looks like Ghatlue is trying to make some headways. But with the Phantom Force here and the damage increase here, that's going to make things a little bit difficult here. It's going to take 1 leash to get everything back here. This Horn Leash is actually pulling back Qatar here, giving them so much damage. They burn a Psychic Solaire, but again, they're in such a great position. They're going to continue to force this fight here. Reggie Steel is back and re-engaged once again by Ghatlue Poulet, and they're going to see if they can make headways from there.
This has been a defender masterclass on the side of BH3. Both defender Pokemon they have on the field right now have had stellar performances in the top and bottom path. Finally, Ghatlue Poulet find a win here, but I think they're going to continue to bolster up their goal zones here to continue to defend this highway. Let's try this once again. Ghatlue Poulet, they don't have a Trevenant with its Unite move to deal with a Crustle. Can they break this goal zone in time? They should. They got the Play With Me Unite move on that Hoopa to put them away, and finally, Ghatlue Poulet is able to break one of the sides of the goal zones.
Right, getting it on and dirty here is going to be not the Regidrago. Again, a little bit lost, just like my life. Nobody really wants me to. But that's okay, I have 2 Draco, I think. Moving on, 261 points to 184 here, while we have a Regidrago who's never ever going to get taken for the rest of his life. We have a big problem. The levels don't match up here. 2 level 13 now BH3 means they've got 2 players with their power spike here, 1 on Zor, and the rest of the team is just falling behind here. Ghatlue Poulet likes chicken, but not levels apparently.
They at least have a couple more NDDs relative to BH3, right? BH3 still has their tier 1 goal zone intact, where if they lost their tier 1 goals in the bottom path. One more fight gear, 30 seconds before the final stretch. Hopefully, Unite moves are expended. 2 KOs going over to Kranix on their Serena at level 13 now. Still waiting for that Cinderaceous level 13 is a huge break point for this Pokemon. Higher critically hitting damage, but also faster auto attack damage as well. There's the level 13 plus with the plus ability as well. 15 seconds before, I believe it is. Yeah, it is. Groudon's going to enter the field up 1-0 in this set. BH3, Ghatlue Poulet, they need to win this one to force a game 3.
Okay, you blow on it when it hit 2 minutes. This is for you. There we go. Groudon, yay. They're going to start a fight here. Let's see if they can make something happen of it. If you have quite a lot, you might be burnt out. So, for the end here, we are going to pull back here. Megu's getting a full heal back into the base, comes back to a fight, has the rubber rods to work with as well here, but it looks like we're going to be in a weird spot. Qatar taking a little bit of damage here, wants to start Groudon now, knows that time is ticking, has to get around to the back. Scaling it back, Mamba Mash is invested here. It looks like we have a Mamba Mash that just not really hitting anyone here. Megu pushing it back on the back here, and we do see traffic engaging onto the tree. First one coming down to slice the dice, nothing happens here. Quickly ascends onto traffic here. That's 1 member down for the side of Ghatlue Poulet. Here we have Stars coming in to see if he can make some headways. We have Megu trying to pick him up here. 3 on the side. Coming in to stop, and of course the Mamba Mash comes in to dish the damage. Ice Fang lost that back out here. They lost the Hoopas Abound form. Now we're going to see if we can make some headways back into Qatar. They try to make a way with something here, anything that could really solidify their lead here, but the time is ticking. 1 minute on the clock. Qatar, the Phantom Form finishes off here to stop onto this little mammoth here who just has to run all the way back home. There's to pick up a Sars here. It looks like the South BH3 has an opportunity to take Groudon, but I think they just want to play long right now.
Yeah, this is going to be really tough for Ghatlue Poulet, and with both of their front line down at this point in the game, this Cinder is not really going to have an avenue to take this off of the field. And it looks like they're going to ignore the Groudon completely. 30 seconds remaining. They're going to cash in all their points on the tier 3 main base of Ghatlue Poulet. Groudon already brought down to less than 25% here. Cinderace does have that Unite move. They need to do something here. They need to take this objective. They're going to take the Groudon, but do they have enough points, though? It's more than a 350-odd point lead, and I think all they need to do is quite literally put their controller down, and they should win this game.
You want to test that theory? I kind of want to see if they actually put their controllers down. It's going to be interesting. Because if they do lose, it's going to be a lot funnier.
Yeah. It's going to be, one of the disadvantages of the Kyogre buff relative to something that we've seen for the last 3 years, where that Rayquaza buff has a integrated score shield. This one does not. So, unfortunately for Ghatlue Poulet, they did switch sides here. So BH3 is on our orange side, Ghatlue Poulet is on our purple side, just the way the house spectate works. And unfortunately, Ghatlue Poulet is not going to find a win here with BH3. Will continue their undefeated streak, and for Ghatlue Poulet, the exact opposite. They will continue their defeated streak.
Unfortunate for them, but that's not mean they're out of the count just yet. It is a rough few weeks, I would say. Not a rough start. It's been a rough start, rather. BH3, definitely, it's been a beautiful start. But of course, anything can still happen here. BH3 has not met the likes of some other teams here. We saw them just in the last round here. I don't know if you've been watching Draco, so I hope to see one day they'll actually get into a clash together.
Yeah, maybe, probably in a couple of weeks or so, have 2 undefeated teams going up against each other. I'm sure they're going to be on the main broadcast as well. I think, the the tempo issue that we are talking about earlier, it's a little bit better, right? Like Blissey has a okay early game. Mimikyu out of the jungle is pretty decent. Mamoswine or Swinub is a pretty decent early game. I know you're a big fan of Scizor, and I know Scizor was most recently nerfed. I would say the last balance patch, maybe 2 balance patches ago. I thought it was a head scratcher, but do you want to talk a little bit about Scizor? Like, why was that Pokemon doing really well, and is it still doing well? What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I didn't know why it got nerfed as well for a long time. I had someone explain it to me, and it was because of one of the countries within my region, right? So Japan. Japan apparently has found a way to make Scizor work where it has its sword dance buff permanently active. So that's a 30% buff to your damage across the board, which somehow is insane when you think about it, right? That's like having attack rates. I believe it's about 3 to 4 attack rates permanently on you, on top of whatever you have. Which scales as well, by the way, because after your attack weights, you take into calculation of the sword stats, it becomes even greater. So that's kind of why it got nerfed as well, because of the uptime as well as how fast it was being activated. Very head scratcher to everyone else in the world, I'll tell you that much. You're not the only one who's scratching your heads. But, well, justifiable, but still seeing play here.
Yeah, I mean, but before this tech was found out by your region, I think Scizor was, I would say, confidently on the lowest part of the proverbial all-rounder totem pole in terms of like where they were in where this Pokemon was in the metagame, right? It's 68,000 damage, 65,000 damage taken. It's actually kind of decent in this lineup here. I think Scizor does really well into other physical attackers, similar to how Serena does pretty decently well into other physical attackers because of Drop Kick. The passive ability allows it to increase its physical defenses, and as you can see on the side of BH3, there's basically 3 Pokemon they're going to be going up against consistently. So in terms of adaptation, I really like these 2 Pokemon, Serena and this Scizor being picked towards the ends of draft, but it also leads me to believe, like, where is this Cinderace picked as well?
Oh, Traffy loves Cinderace.
Yeah, you can see.
Yeah,
he gives Cinderace about it. 0-2, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yes. Maybe need to work on that here, but it is definitely Traffy's comfort pick. We've seen it a lot in the EU side of things. Let's take a look at the replays and we can see how that really panned out for him, because after this fight, wasn't very convinced.
Yeah, like I was saying, like a really good start for Ghatlue Poulet. It's a lot different than the previous game, but in my opinion, the defenders had such a huge game. Like, right, their game plan was like, it was, I wouldn't say convoluted, but it was defend their goal zones, right? Defend the tier 1 goal zones with everything that you have. And that's the reason why they have 2 defenders. If one goes down, you have another Hydra to rejoin the fight as well. This bottom path fight here, I think the objective went over to Ghatlue Poulet, but a huge play by the Trevenant to defend this goal zone. It got like a 3 to 4 player Phantom Forest, and then in the top side right before this, the Frosto got like a 3 player. Yeah, there you can see it right here, like a 4 player. And it's impossible to take Rescue Dad at this point of the game, right? You get that curse meter all the way up here. You get a double horn leash to pull Qatar away from their team, and Qatar is kind of on an island of their own. They're not able to get the KO here, but I think their plan there is just to get away from that side of the map, and that's clearly a plan in itself.
Right, and as you can definitely take a look at how this panned out here, they had so much going for them. Somehow a defender masterclass, like you were calling it out here, this Mammoth just never seems to go down here. The Ice Age was one thing, but now that we're here, does not stay the same. Megu locked it and ready. We had one pickup here. They tried to carry on for this, and well, I think you know how the story goes from here.
Also want to shout out the Hoopa as well. We've been talking about the portals, but one of the interesting things about going against a team that Ghatlue Poulet has put together, most of their team is like kind of low to mid damage DPS. It's not like any high burst damage. They don't have any speedsters, and it does really well for a Pokemon like Hoopa to continuously reset those Pokemon that takes like maybe, 75% damage, 50% damage, but Ghatlue Poulet just couldn't lock out on a couple of these knockouts because the Hoopa would just reset them, right? And so I think that's another thing that we kind of haven't talked about, but I think another thing that would really push this team composition over the edge if they had something that's more of a spear, right? Of course, unintended with Surfetch coming to the field, but I think maybe that Mimikyu going, maybe even play rough in this situation would actually be fairly beneficial, because you have 3 Pokemon that have like low to mid damage DPS, and that Cinderace and that Scizor. They do a lot of damage over time, but not a lot of damage in a short period of time. That's what they kind of needed.
Let me spout to you my manifesto. Everyone who has to deal with me has to hear it. You know, especially production, because he has to sit here every single time I'm here anyways. So I think the right call is Delmise, right? Because like any game, right? One good hook, one good pick, it's a 4v5 afterwards. And from there, you play the number of pressures. Like, no! Production, shush! Let me spout my manifest. If we pick Delmise and you get the one hook locked in, it's a 4v5. Delmise.
I actually do like Delmise a lot. It's a Pokemon that it actually does reward like high skillful play, right? It's not the easiest ability to hit. It's different than like Mewtwo X's.
He gets me!
It's not like Mewtwo X's like point and click pull. It has a lot more distance, and it's a game changer. It's literally like a long distance slow beam in a sense. Like if you're able to grab the enemy Pokemon, it's a lot of fun. It also sets up for a lot of really huge moments. I mean, the moments that we get as a caster to cast something like a discharge pull from a Zera Aura, like every time it happens, like regardless of the impact that it has, it's always really fun to see, right? But we have a Pokemon that's literally built for that in Delmise, and I'm a huge fan of it. Unfortunately, it fell out of the metagame really quickly. It has I like to call it the failing syndrome. It had its time in the spotlight for a very short period of time, and then they nerfed it to the ground, and then no one plays it anymore, right? The Phalanx is very much like that. I'm a huge fan of Phalanx too. Maybe that's just me liking really low tier all-rounders.
No, I think Phalanx is fun. I just really feel like he's in a weird spot where you can't really buff him too much because every single individual segment of body just gets buffed as well. But again, Delmise has an interesting kit where his kit is unaffected by everything else, right? One hook is still one hook. You get the one hook, it pulls out like a Mewtwo, like that Pokemon's done, you know? So I feel like that's where we can go for it. I do believe our next game is with KOMAI Esports here, so if I had to come back for a short break here, Ghatlue, I do want to get some rest. I think you do too. We'll come back in just a bit. So let's wrap this one up.
All right. End up the break, Shivam. Take us there. We'll see you guys in a little bit. Zatera, I said you bring us in. What's going on here?
Hey,
You're
Lord, and
muted.
welcome
Oh
back to
my
Chaos
god.
Island.
Help me,
I was
producer.
testing you. You know, everyone have their volumes a little low. Yep, I got you back up to the right level, Draco. We're back here with, I believe, our final game for today. It is KOMAI Esports and Los Educados.
Before we get started, though, can we in the chat flame Ghatlue a little bit for not having his spectate on his channel? Shout out Desi, by the way.
Yeah, sure. I would love to do that. Yeah. Why do you not have spectator mode on your channel?
All
Your
right.
channel, man. All right.
KOMAI
let's
Esports
just
on our
spectate.
purple side, Los Cados on our orange side. Review of week number 1. KOMAI Esports coming out 2-1 in their debut weekend. Los Cados the opposite side, 1-2 on their opening weekend.
I don't know if we want to talk about the early game here. I mean, these teams are pretty established. Kind of lazy. Can we just like look at Ghatlue and flame him for a bit? What are those? Would you not pay for a bird kid? I got some games. Give me something to look at.
Lucario does have a lot of skins. I wonder who has the
A lot of
most
good
skins in this
skins.
game. Yeah, I think it's like Lucario and Pikachu probably has the most skins in this game.
And he couldn't pick a good one?
Hey, he might have a second one for the game number 2 and game number 3.
You want to bet he's going to swap out of like Lucario just so I don't get it?
Maybe. He's actually listening right now, so if we flame him, he'll know we're flaming him on his show.
Okay, you know what? Looking at that though, he does get a nice power punch. Sure. Sorry, not power punch, force pump, whatever. I don't remember. Meteor mash, yeah, whatever. Cool, I guess, you know. But look at the bottom side. It's so effective. Oh, my eye esports here. We hit me. Go into it. Oh, and then, oh, thank you so much damage for nothing.
Yeah, 4-player pushing the top half. This is actually a double speedster competition. We don't see this all too much ever since the speed penetration buff was removed. I always love to see it, but whether it can be executed is definitely a different story here. Now, level 5 on either of those two Pokemon, still sitting up their tier 1 or level or stage 1 evolution. Sorry, there's that Galarian Rapidash, as you can see on the mini map in the top left corner of your screen. Darkrai on the side of KOMAI Esports, currently leading the pack to level 6. We'll have level 7 and gold.
And they're starting off really strong just because of that. Right now, if they hit level 7, they're able to explore around the map, and they're basically terrifying everyone. Though we have a level 5 Lucario, I guess finally, we start back. Yeah, top that, how you get 3 damage poison, and getting killed by his team. Yeah, but look at that, 30 points to 39. It's starting a little bit slow here. Red Drago is up as well. It looks like I have a bird and a cat who's trying to chase for it here, but they've left the little pony to his own devices.
I really like this Mew pick, by the way. I don't know when it was picked in this draft, but, you know, going up into double speedster, I feel like most attackers would be kind of worried, but for Mew, it's pretty high mobility. Also has a get-out-of-jail-free card once it hits level 8 and get that Unite move online. Regidrago on the field, brought down to 25% as well. Shadow Claw doing some damage. It will get the confirmation anyway. Not the best confirmation tool. The Disco is set on the field with that Trick Room Mimikyu. They might be set back to the Pokemon Center. Gets the knockout with the boosted auto and the Electro Ball. Early game lead here for KOMAI, at least in levels, but not so much in score.
Right. So I guess if starting off, this is how it's gonna be here. Hey, you know what? It's a little bit of a lead for them that they can take use and make use of here as they start off with the first objective for each of them here. Bottom side here, we have Reggie Lecky in the basement. On the attic, we have the Reggie brothers here. Who's gonna be picked up is Reggie Ice. Now, I guess you can say that levels are gonna be flowing to KOMAI Esports here, and they're gonna make something work here. But lost Kados is gonna make something happen.
76-63, close game. 4-player push in the bottom path. Vaporeon getting some vision on the Lucario in the top path. Here's the Disco set on the field once again. Trick Room gonna make some tricky work here of this goal zone as it's continuing to be sieged here. Rock Tomb trying to set up the team. Unfortunately, just holding back the Regieleki. Here comes the Flame Sweep. It's gonna kidnap. I think that's Narami on the Eldegoss. Gonna be pulled all the way to the right side of the screen. Really nice defend here by KOMAI Esports, but you know, in terms of levels, Los Caducados is starting to peel ahead.
Well, that's a very good saying for cotton picking as they go about it. but it doesn't look like it's going to be there for long here. The Braveheart comes in, the Triforce is completely deleted here, and we do see a Mega Lucario chasing it down here. Jose, back in the corner here, going to give me a heart attack once again with the Braveheart, comes in, tries to make some play, but it looks like we're going to be coming out with Jiraiya taking quite a bit of hits, but not enough to get KO'd here. Turns back around here, My Little Pony is running it back and forth here to see if he can make some damage. It counts and back and forth here, but not enough again. Jose giving me a heart attack, almost going down to the Electro Ball here, and I gotta say, at the end of everything, really nothing was gained here. We were just spouting words with no result.
Yeah, both Ghost-type Pokemon's going to go into a 1v1 here. Gatlue's going to follow up to push this Mimikyu back to the right side of the field. No score has gone in for the last, I think, 2 or 3 minutes or so. Basically a stalemate for this game. At least for, this early part of the game, you kind of expect these speedsters to take over the game. They usually have fairly good early game, but, they really need to start to get some scores in because they start to slow down towards the tail end of the game as KOMAI Esports starts to scale towards the late game. And looking at Ghatlue in particular, level 10 has that Mega Evolution ready to go once again. Here comes a Siege potentially. Crustle is still in the bottom path. Hoopa can bring them up to the top path, or the Vaporeon up to the top path if they decide to do so. Just kind of poking around with that Dark Pulse is Adesu, but not really going to get anything done.
Oof, gonna be a little bit interesting here as they go about it. They have the rings unbound to try to see if they can make something work here, and I do see a Flame Sweep to pull them back here. Jose is gonna get down for the count. He's looking really low here. That's the KO coming in for it. Yeah, we do see a Lucario coming in. Ghatlue trying to make the headways here. He is playing my boy. Gotta give him some love. Let's go Barrage, see if we can help with steal damage reduction as they go in here. Regirock, bit by bit. There is it. Mimikyu coming in, thankfully, cleaning it up here from the hands of Ghatlue as he turns it around. But not without a fight here. Is Ghatlue going to go down? The close combat raise, the Terror comes down. Not enough damage to hold on to his hive here. As bit by bit, there's the KO. We see Galarian Rapidash running it through here, blitzing in down like a horse that he is here. The Gallops, the Wallops, and of course, big damage that helps them out here. Bloody Waters locks them up in place here as they come out with a little bit of HP to spare here. They might still get a little bit of force on the side, and there it is. That is all the eggs, breakfast, and ham you can get.
Alright, they do have a Citrus Berry. Can they stop this Galarian Rapidash from scoring? They do. 40 points going in for the Hoopa. Uh-oh, the Bumblebee is a paid actor! Stops it from scoring! Oh no! It's still 75 points on the goal zone, so they needed to get both of those scores in for them to break this goal zone, but a really unfortunate mishap there for Los Caducados.
Ah, coward. Coward, Jose, you could have gone for it. I saw a win there and he didn't take it. But oh well, that's all. You run on that one, 76 to 63 points. We're moving the 3-minute mark here. Points are relatively low across both sides here. We are going to see a giant dump by Jiraiya here for the 40, and that's a great start.
A really nice break there. It's going to allow them to get positional advantage, especially when they have the Hoopa portal on their side of the field. We already saw that in the previous game, how strong that ability set does for your team. Trick Room, it's a really nice Hollowware, by the way. I think that's one of the orange tier Hollowares, I believe. In my opinion, it's also very distracting too. It's a giant pink, bright pink square on the field that stays on the field for like 5 seconds or so. It's always so great.
Works with the aesthetic.
It does work for the aesthetic, definitely. A nice solar beam lands onto Portillo and is forced back to the right side of the field. Let's see if they can take a goals on this side. 40 points going in, but another 50 banger on the bottom side for Jose is going to bring the lead back to their side of the field.
Yeah, but they're kind of losing out on the Reggie brothers here, right? Because they're going to get a Reggie Ice for themselves. That's going to be EXP flowing to their side here. Let's look at their levels now. They have 2 13s with Lost Kados, which is the 3 13s here. Talonflame, Mimikyu, and Galarian Rapidash here. On the other side here, not a single 13 on the board. No power spikes just yet. That's a problem.
It's really interesting compositions for both teams, in my opinion. I think we can talk about it after we get through this final stretch. Potentially going for a score is the Talonflame. You can see them on the lower left-hand side of the screen of that mini-map. Trickery Mimikyu just dancing in the disco in the center of the map here, just getting vision on the enemy team, just staying outside of the range of the enemy team. Jose on the bottom side just kind of by themselves, not exactly sure what they're doing here, maybe trying to get level 14, but both teams still sitting at parity. Los Caducados has a better position in the map.
Right, and looking at it here as we move down, the timer is ticking. They are in a weird position. If they want to make something happen, there's the pickup here coming in for it. We don't see any mix onto Mimikyu, but he's going to try again. The Disco 4 has been set here. The rip is going. Ghatlue is trying to force it down. Rings a bow activator here. Triforce to activate the damage and dish it out as we start going in. Calling out Crash to push them back into the wall here. We do take out Jirari onto the Vaporeon, and now it's going to be bit by bit. No play with me here. I'm not seeing the Mimikyu. He has to back away. What about Jose? No flame sweep coming for him. He gets swept up in the damage here. Back into the Pokemon base you go here. Pokemon Center is yours for the taking, and right now it looks like they get stuck on the rip here. They lost the Mega Lucario, but it's not over just yet. Groudon's still looking quite healthy.
Yeah, taking a look at that Mimikyu, they still have that Unite move. There's a play with me Unite move. It's going to lock down somebody. I can't see exactly who it is. I think it might have been Gecko Kami underneath that play with me Unite move. Groudon brought down to left at 50%. Darkrai taken down already. This should be a secure here for Los Garucanos. They have most of their members on the field, and they do. That red aura underneath them is that Groudon button. And with most of KOMAI Esports down, 30 seconds remaining. Unfortunately, KOMAI Esports is going to be looking at an early 0-1 deficit.
I wonder if we can get a straight replay on the Groudon fight. That was a fantastic display. Just a little bit shy of the Groudon buff here. I do see that, you know, Ghatlue was a little low, right, at the end of the day. So it was just a little bit of a time tick.
Couple seconds remaining. Los Garucanos will win game number 1. Unfortunate loss here for KOMAI Esports. And trying to throughout this game, I was trying to think about like what their team composition was kind of going for. You have like 3 Pokemon that all on their own they are hard to take down, right? They side swap, by the way. So KOMAI Esports is on this side. Thank you so much, production. So let's talk about Darkrai and Mega Lucario and this Mew. 3 Pokemon that separately very difficult to take down, right? But in terms of their like team fighting prowess, I'm not sure if it's like the best combination between the 3. Right, they do like kind of annoying damage between the 3 of them, and the most consistent damage is probably going to be that Mega Lucario. But I'm not exactly sure what to think about it. They don't have a whole lot of crowd control on their team. I guess they don't really need it if the Pokemon relatively are difficult to lock down individually. So I don't know. I'll have to think about it a little more. I'm not sure if I like it, but I'm not sure if it's necessarily bad at the same time. I'm just not exactly sure.
I mean, that's fair. It is going to be a little tough for them to, you know, figure out what the game plan is. But I mean, if they chip enough damage, I wouldn't say that the plan is wrong, right? Toast can clean it out with a long-range beam. The rest of the team just needs to make sure that they're low enough for Toast to, you know, make sure they're Toast.
Yeah, I think if I can like summarize the team compositions for both sides, it's very scrappy. Like Double Speedster, it's already like scrappy by nature, right? Because you have 2 Pokemon that don't really play with the team all too much. They're kind of using their high mobility to weave in and out, especially with these 2 Speedsters in particular. And then the same thing for like KOMAI Esports, right? The Ghatlue by himself is really difficult to take down because you get the resets off of both Power Up Punch and Mega Evolution with close combat, so it's a difficult Pokemon to take down by itself. And then you have Darkrai, who has invincibility frames by using Dark Pulse all the time, and then Mew is just a slippery Pokemon in general, kind of like a Speedster too. So, like, just sum it up between the 2 teams, very scrappy, very slippery Pokemon, and whoever gets like 1 or 2 picks early is probably going to win these team fights. And at least in that final stretch fight, Los Garucanos had that upper hand because they got 2 KOs early.
Yeah, I agree with you on all fronts there. I mean, it's a great summary. It's a great understanding of it. I like the breakdown here, and I think at least for the audience at home, they can see exactly why it comes to play. So if we take a look at your analysis here moving into this, you can see how they're just kind of like picking for scraps, trying to make something work here. Damage is flying everywhere, but nothing is really locking them out. They do pick up like the Elder Gods halfway through that, but then look at this. The Mega Lucario comes out, Jose runs away, and like everything just kind of goes messy. Everyone has some way to escape, be it by virtue of just being fast enough, or by virtue of the opponent being slow enough. And just still, it feels so weird.
Yeah. I guess the way that I put it here, it's kind of a convoluted like way to think about it, but like it is like a 5v5 game, but within these like larger team fight skirmishes, it's more like small 2v2s or like 3v2s. It's never like 5-on-5, you know what I mean?
Right. It feels... I mean, it has been a lot of brawl. There's a lot of 5v5s here. Let's be fair. But I think I get what you mean by you saying that there's a lot of fights that just, even if it's a 5v5, it just feels like they are disjointed 5v5, right? I agree with that. I agree.
First attempt here. This is the Bono Bean that was stopping Nyat from getting that score in, and then the same thing with the Galarian Rapidash that was actually physically being stopped by the enemy team. But really good break here for Los Caducados. Beating a team like KOMAI Esports is, I would say, a really good start to their second weekend of the regional league. I'm sure coming out at a negative win-loss for the first weekend is probably not the best flavor in your mouth, but getting a win over KOMAI Esports was huge for them.
For sure not. But, I mean, you know what? All said and done, it's going to be a rough one. This is the grounder fight that we're talking about here. I was talking more about the secure, but it's good to look as well. Look at how close they are to getting a KO on a double here. This double would have meant they could have just straight gone for it, but look at how low Ghatlue gets later on here. As he takes this down, he goes in to take a fight, he loses his buff. I mean, all is good, but then you have this play with me that's going to come out in just a bit here, like the one you couldn't see. And this kind of stops there in this weird position.
I think the play with me Night Move also got interrupted a little early there. I think it took a little too much damage and had to come off of Ghatlue. Sitting at 50%, losing your Mega Evolution there is just a tough break for Ghatlue. Got a couple of really high value KOs, but just not enough damage to take the Groudon off the field before Los Caducados could rejoin the fight. 4 members here. I don't know exactly who got the confirmation, but Ghatlue, you can see it literally low HP. He may have even gotten KO'd by Groudon itself. No, I think it was the Shadow Claw. Full extension there, getting the knockout, and then the rest of the team just kind of wiping the rest of the scraps there. But yeah, go ahead.
I want to pause here because I want to pull back the clip and show you that actually Ghatlue did secure Groudon. If not for the fact that Jiraiya was in the... Sorry, not Jiraiya. I couldn't remember who was in the middle. There was a power-up punch that connected to someone going to Groudon before the last before the last close completed. So that was something that was really hard to catch in the heat of the moment. And I would say that very close. Los Caducados got it. KOMAI Esports. Yeah! You know, maybe skin diff. I'm just saying, you know, Ghatlue.
Yeah, maybe a little bit there. I think one of the unfortunate things about Lucario and Power Punch is that it could be body block, so I think that's what you're kind of leading into.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I think Ghatlue had a wonderful team fight just early on in the Groudon fight. Got a couple of really high value picks there, but just couldn't. The Mega Evolution buff just unfortunately dissipated, just ran out of time, and then couldn't use that buff to continually reset their close combat and their power punch to take it down. Mimikyu coming back on the field, just unfortunate, I guess, turn of events for KOMAI Esports. They had a really good advantage in the earlier part of that Groudon fight, and then unfortunately just lost it because they couldn't secure the objective in time.
Right, I understand and agree with you. But as we go into that, this means Los Caducados is up point against KOMAI Esports here. They're looking to take home the goal, and so Los Caducados wants a point up on the board again to finish it with a 2-0. Riku, I know that we're tired, and we kind of want to see a 2-0, but it is Gatlue's channel, and I'm unfortunately obligated to say, go Ghatlue. I think, hold on. Let me open my foot. Go Ghatlue, I think you're the best. Your Greedon is a success. Please win the game. Whoa, whoa, wow. Cool player, KOMAI Esports is the best.
I am a huge fan of those two. Ghatlue is a wonderful guy. I met him in person a couple of times. Adesu was actually taking a part of. He's taken part of a couple of events I've hosted. I've hosted a couple, not a couple. I've hosted 2 Decidueye events a couple of years ago when I was a budding caster, and Adesu was a huge part of that. So I love the two guys to bits. But yeah, I like to see them continue to play together. I love to see that they've continued this partnership on into KOMAI Esports. They were with Nouns Esports since year 1, making it to 2nd place, and then just falling short of that going into year 2 and year 3, and now here in year 4, they're still continuing to play together.
Well, they want to keep playing together. They gotta win here. This is like a small hurdle. You know, lose at the finals, fine. You know, right? No one's gonna blame you. Everyone's just gonna be salty that you lost. But lose here, and everyone's gonna like start doubting you. Like, this friendship. Oh wow, 1P can fix that.
Yeah, they got a couple of huge pickups during the off season. I think Gecko Kami was coaching LG for a period of time towards the end of last year. If I remember correctly. Narami, Toast obviously making it a huge run in UCS last year as well. Pretty high profile names. So, in terms of the this caliber of the names that they have on this lineup, in my opinion, KOMAI Esports should be like definitely top three. And this would be once again, a huge set for Los Catacados to win against these deep names.
Oh, you want to cast this on your own? Like, oh, this guy. Oh, same skin. Sorry. Allergic to trash.
All right, level 3 on Ghatlue is gonna approach the Zashi at the top. Now,
Oh.
Zashi is a Pokemon that, in my opinion, it's a really interesting Pokemon. It's been nerfed a bunch of times, but for whatever reason, the competitive scene just continues to love this Pokemon. I think it's just because it has really good rips potential, has really good early game. It also has really good secure with that Unite move towards the later stages of the game.
To be fair, he also has a bulk ton of stats compared to many other Pokemon, given his stature, right? So we're gonna see how this one pans out for them. Jose and the Toast is gonna come in at level 5. A little bit undercooked for their bird types. So we're gonna see if they can make any headways with this team.
Vaporeon in on the side of KOMAI Esports as well. Level 5 on the Blaziken, I think that was their central area Pokemon. It's typically a Pokemon that's not level 5 at this point in the game, as preparing for that Blaziken to pull Narami and Ghatlue over to the left side of the field. Really nice engage by Quick Attack. Is going to start to engage onto Toast. Has to be careful, though. I think the Acrobatics unfortunately missed there on the side of Toast, and both teams are going to go ahead and disengage here. Nia's going to be pushed by that Meteor Mash. We'll have full extension for this goal zone. Nice KO there on the opposing team's Duck-type Pokemon, Bird-type
That is
Pokemon. And they're going to go ahead and vacate the top path and get a lot of free real estate for KOMAI Esports and Ghatlue.
I like how you called it out. Oh, at the end there, the final pickup on Yahi is just beautiful. But let's take a look at how they can turn this around here. We do have the first set of objectives coming up here in the center, and let's see if they can make something happen from there. Of course, we do have Ghatlue chasing down a dog here. I'm not really sure why it's a dog fight action here coming along. One with a sword, one with 2 hands. But as they go about it here, Regidrago has spawned. No one is really postured for it. They're looking to see if they get Jose up to level 7 first for the Blaziken buff, but I'm not seeing anything they can get just yet. There it is. We found the Baltoy.
Yeah, Blaziken is also a Pokemon that got nerfed in the most recent balance patch. Not the Meowth balance patch, but I guess 2 balance patches ago. Oh no! Watch out for Pokemon in the tall grass. We'll find an Overheat as well as a Metal Claw from that Zacian as well. Is able to make their way back to the right side of the field. Regidrago on the field, secured by the Blaziken once again. And I think Relic Mark, I can't see their name at this point of the game. What's their name? Reliark? Yeah, Reliark is able to make it back to the left side of the field. Here's a huge rotation here for KOMAI Esports. They should be able to get at least a couple of wild Pokemon, maybe even Narami as well, as they retreat back to the center part of the map. No, they're able to get away. Wow.
God bless you. You were going to figure out that name. I wasn't going to help you on that one. But they did get a 26 points down as well, leading them into their first triple-digit tier, moving into the 7-minute mark. Which then that means Blaziken can actually continue this fight here, but I think Jose's out for the count.
Ice in the bottom side of the map. Gecko Kami trying to make quick work of that. If they're able to get a steal here, that would be huge. Neon making some room for the team. He gets it with a Rock Tomb. That's huge.
That's a beautiful lock in there for themselves. Ice onto the board for KOMAI Esports here, and they're able to lead the way here with 2 objectives, by the way, which makes them kind of the kings of the map right now. They can move around freely. They can actually take fights if they need to. It's going to be a good one. And they even have Ghatlue on Mega Lucario right now, so if they really want to take a fight, that was the best chance.
Yeah, really good early game lead here for KOMAI Esports. Mega Lucario will lose their Mega Evolution as they trail to the top path. Los Catacados, though, they're going to try to make a move on this goal zone. Unfortunately, Flame Sleep not sweeping up anything. Maybe dust just a little bit there. Mewtwo going to use double teleport to make their way back to the left side of the field. Bright Future Meteor Storm for defense of their goal zone. They will get a KO on the Snorlax, and here comes KOMAI Esports back the other way. Fly going up into the air. KO streak of 2 for the Talonflame. Let's see what they can do.
And already, what they can do. Get as many points as they can to lead up into a beautiful finish on this goal zone here. Hopefully a 40 dunk later on here. They're setting themselves up for success. They don't want to break it too early to get EXP. Right now, Narami needs a way out though, and he's going to see if he can slowly try and pick off a few more of the buffs that they have with only 1 Snorlax to defend. On the other side though, it looks like we are getting levels very steadily on KOMAI Esports here, who are pushing higher towards the level 11s now.
Yeah, Ghatlue already has that Mega Evolution ready to go here. It's going to be a solo mission to defend this goal zone. Here comes Toast, though, here for the defend as well. Zacian all on their lonesome will be melted at the steel. Here comes Adesu with that Thunder bringing down the heavens. Here comes the Mega Evolution once again. A fight breaking out. Bertillo, can they make it back home, though? No. Flip Turtle will make quick work of that.
Way too fast on Ghatlue with the evolution again. I mean, that Unite move is so quick right now. They come in here, they're gonna see they can take a fight here. Jirari in a weird spot. Lucario also punching the air here. Maybe just trying to practice shadow boxing, but otherwise, it's all good. You know, Narami's got the goal there for him.
Going to break that goal zone with a small break, but nonetheless, they will have the lead as we eclipse the halfway point of the game. 189 to 48, a 141-point lead for KOMAI Esports as it will take another objective off the field. Regieleki in the top path, working on by Ghatlue, 50% on the Regieleki. Here comes the Infinite Sideburn as well. Overheats, or at least the Blaziken will get that confirmation there. Regieleki is going to start bouncing over to the tier 1 goal zone. 45 points in the goal zone. They would love to get these points in.
Felt like a hesitation on Ghatlue's part here was trying to get the Regieleki, but at least he finishes off and gets a beautiful pickup at the end. But if not, I still think that it needs to be a little bit more careful here. Really commit to everything you have if you want to get an objective. At this point, there's nothing for you to lose here except the fact that you might go home with a 0-2 on the board here. However, as they move into that here, it looks like they're getting completely invaded here. Jose in a really weird spot. They do get a nice, beautiful heavy slam.
Oh my goodness!
There's the Flames coming in as well. Jirari is in a weird spot. Miraidon takes damage out. It is going to electrify the field here. Jirari able to back away just a little bit, but the range on Miraidon, well, that's the future that he's going to look at.
Yeah, it was a huge power nap. Was able to get onto 4 members there. Just unfortunately no Pokemon to really follow up with that one with their ADC going down. 116-61 as we head into the final quarter of this game. Los Caducados finds themselves on the losing side of game number 2. In terms of levels, level 13 on your Talonflame, Brave Bird having that Brave Bird plus the damage reduction up to 75% if you're able to hit 3 enemy Pokemon level 13 on that Miraidon. Ghatlue sure to get level 13 as well. Still waiting on a couple of Pokemon to get to their breakpoints on our purple side team, looking specifically at that level 11 Mewtwo, kind of struggling on levels in this part of the game.
And already you can see how they're just trying to posture themselves up here. We know what the teams are prioritizing right now, right? So as we look at it, Los Caducados wants to actually prioritize top side here. And of course, KOMAI wants to prioritize the bottom here. Narami caught a little bit off guard there. Looks like they're unfortunately going to not be able to back away from this one and take a nice KO for themselves. Is Los Caducados with a level 12 Vaporeon.
Yeah, one of the unfortunate things for that engagement for Los Caducados, they were able to get the Vaporeon, but they will lose their Mega Evolution gauge on the Mega Mewtwo X. So you can see them reverting back to the regular Mewtwo form. And once they revert, their effort gauge or their Mega gauge will be all the way down to 0. So it's going to be some time for them to get that Mega Evolution Stone to start glowing once again. They cannot build it up on wild Pokemon like the Unite moves do for Charizard and Lucario. They will have to do it the long way.
Right, but as he started off here, it looks like the rip is going on. Ghatlue wants to opt for the option to actually put a timer on the side of Los Caducados here. He's going to back away here to see if he can take a fight against Jirari. I don't feel like that's the right target. You want to be hitting more high-impact targets here. All Groudon. Just pick one and choose and go at it. Jose is top side here against Narami, and that's going to be a great start for them here. Ghatlue losing the gauge now. It's going to be almost over. He does get one more nick into the lone Mewtwo, and I guess now it's time for you to just kind of go for it. Ferrari alone always lonesome, trying to make some headways here. They're able to back it out here. Vaporeon buying some time as much as he can. Miraidon turns the damage on back to them here. The heat is turning up for a double KO on the side of Los Caducados here, and now they're able to make some headway. The Sai activates here, and it's a little bit too late here. Your team is already down. This is a wasted Unite move to buy time. But if all that's said and done, there's the third KO here coming for Zacian, and now Groudon is their sort of pickings here. No one to really contest them unless Jose wants to make a play right now. Right now.
Yeah, gotta be very careful. Here comes the over here. And a little bit too early. The eject button, unfortunately, they will get knocked down before they even have an opportunity at the Groudon. Ghatlue getting the confirmation will force a Game 3 scenario for KOMAI Esports. Exactly what they need to stay in this set for weekend number 2. 60 points in the top side. They will collapse on this bottom side. And huge win here for KOMAI Esports. And not only is a huge win, but they also played it extremely patiently as well, which I really loved. An adaptation from game number 1 where I felt it was a lot more scrappy relative to the composition they built here.
Hey, well said. I mean, at the end of the day, you were able to make something work from there. Maybe a little slip up early on here, first game of the day, you know? So as they come back into it, really happy to see how they have made this work. They've come around here. Looks like we're getting ourselves a game 3, you know? Not a 2-0 curse like we had for the first 2. It's gonna be the first of a game 3 for us today. And hey, at least it's gonna be a fitting end for you as we give this one a good set.
Yeah, a good send-off. It is just Eclipse 7 a.m. for me here in California, but we'll have our first and last game 3 of the broadcast today, 7:41 to 1:36. They're going to go ahead and switch sides here. KOMAI Esports on our purple side. Thank you so much, production. And Toast having a huge game. Same thing with Adesu. 14 knockouts on that Speedster. 10 knockouts on Miraidon with 13 assists as well. So not only almost leading the pack in KOs, but leading in assists. And it's another one of those Pokemon that kind of flex into different roles. Miraidon being both an attacker and sometimes a supporter when needed.
Right, and right now it's looking really good. They have got a great all-star riled up here, and they're able to make it work. My only qualm is maybe you want to swap the Rami for Psyduck if you could. Maybe change Gek out for something else. I mean, Gecko Kabi, I know he loves his Crustle, but man, I cannot see it happen again. I am a hater. I'm sorry.
I love Crustle. I mean, Crustle has, in my opinion, is a very highly skillful Pokemon. We saw Pru kind of take over the game, and Draken just having the MVP moment of last year in Worlds is probably a peak memory for me of all of UCS last season. So you can't really discount Crustle in my opinion. But going up against, talking about the Psyduck pick though, Psyduck actually does fairly well into Pokemon like Mega Lucario in particular, right? Mega Lucario typically stays in one position while it's punching the air with that close combat. You can place that Psychic, and then it's a two-part ability, right? So you first place the orb of Psychic, it bursts, and then you're able to move the Pokemon after that. And so, well, Mega Lucario is unintended a sitting duck while they're using close combat. You can hit them with the first part of the ability, and when they are, I guess, not invincible, when they're charging up their power-up punch, you can be pulled by the second part of Psychic, right? So it's a really interesting, not really a synergy, but a really interesting relationship between those two Pokemon in particular.
Yeah, I do agree with you across the board how they can make it work there. And as we take a look at the replays, I mean, maybe we'll get to see some of those moments that you call out happen. Moving into that here, first start, it looks like it's the one where we got a random hit from Yahid, who just couldn't run away here, and then we get a sitting duck, quite literally, like that.
Yeah, 76 points, an early game lead for KOMAI Esports. So I would say a very different game for KOMAI Esports. They had a kind of a middling early game in the previous game. They were going up against Double Speedster in that last game. Of course, Talonflame going in, and a Galarian Rapidash is always difficult to deal with in the early game. This was the steal for Gecko Kami. It's a really interesting ability too, right? The damage happens in 2 phases for this ability. Is one when that kind of beam going through the targets, and then the rocks. I'm saying the ability itself has 2 parts of the ability that do damage. Cool. It's the laser that comes, a laser, I don't know what it's called, but you know what I'm talking about, the beam that comes out, and then when the rocks come out of the ground is the second part of that. I think they were able to get the confirmation on the beam that was coming out, and I guess Crustle has beams.
Right, I mean, that's fair, but I'm quite interested to hear that it hits 2 times. I've never really thought about it that way, and maybe I've never seen it enough to care. I hate them on, so fair enough, but that's cool to hear. Seeing it work, okay, you got me interested. I might try it out now. I might have to actually.
That's not the value you get from the ability. That's just a property of it. Whether it's the most impactful property, probably not. We all know what Rock Tomb does. It sets up a huge wall. You got to go around it, or eject around it, or use your dash around it. Or not. Here's a huge moment by the Snorlax. Got a huge power, or a heavy slam into Power Nap. Just unfortunately, just not able to get anything out of it. It's by themselves. The Zacian got KO'd really early on in that engagement, and just it just kind of went out by itself. Here's the charge beam through the wall as well. Nice confirmation there by the Miraidon. But you can see here, already an early game lead. They were able to KO the Psyduck pretty early on. It's already back on the field. It's 120 at this point in the game. And Psyduck joins the fight once again. They're by themselves, but no one really to follow up on this Sai. You get the damage reduction with that Unite move, but with both the Snorlax and the Mewtwo just coming back onto the field and the resetting Blaziken, kind of a wasted Unite move just to call out what you were saying before. And writing was on the wall at this point. They already had huge positional advantage. Talonflame was ready for the secure, and this was a nice and patient, that word again coming out that I was saying earlier, a patient fight for KOMAI Esports, and that was huge for them.
Look at the overheat. What a call by Jose here. Eject button in. The balls and the man, I gotta give it to him. The fly comes in, not enough, and of course, guess who secures it? What a good
Our man.
player. What a good player. Ghatlue, damn. On his channel, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a good communication also by KOMAI Esports. I think most teams practice this too. When you have a hugely threatening Pokemon, like, you know, Blaziken overheat or Talonflame fly is a little more difficult to lock down. It's just having that patience to recognize that most of the enemy team is down, and you kind of just wait for that Pokemon to come to you rather than you going after them. So just kind of waiting for the Blaziken to show itself, to reveal itself in the tall grass that is lacking on the Groudon map will come eventually, because they need to, you know, have an attempt on the secure. And as soon as it did see the Blaziken, stopped all actions and immediately just soloed down the Blaziken, took that Pokemon out, and then secure by KOMAI Esports. So once again, just very patient play and exactly what you want to see for this team.
Well, it's gonna come down to this one here, Draco. It's gonna be our last game for today. Let's see if we can set this one up and bring it down. KOMAI Esports have a foothold here, but the Lost Counters can't be too complacent just yet. They gotta put themselves back on the board. Let's see how this one turns it around.
Yeah, I have a couple of minutes, so I guess we can just kind of talk.
We have.
It's a. I don't really know where both teams go from here. I think like Los Colorados obviously are now tied up 1-1, losing that last game, but I don't necessarily thought their game was bad per se. You know, I think they just so a couple of their Pokemon got cut out really early. Talking about that Psyduck, just how the dominoes just kind of played out in that last game. The Psyduck went down. The rest of the four kind of held on their own as best as they could. They lost another 2 members, and then they lost another 2 members. Then all of a sudden, KOMAI Esports was able to outwit Los Colorados in that game. And so, like I was saying, there's not really a whole lot of adaptation in that game that I can think of for Los Colorados. They had a really good game plan throughout the game. Just like I was saying, that's just how the chips fell the last couple minutes of the game.
Staggered respawns, right, at the end of the day, because like each time they went down, I mean, the first one is when the Psyduck went down and the other 4 didn't go down. Like, that's so important for Psyduck as well, because Psy-AI's damage mitigation is in this giant wave. Right, you want to hit as many people as possible within the zone so that your team can make it work. But that's just so. Where is my duck? You know, he walked up to a lemonade stand, but didn't realize the lemonade stand had like swords, you know, psychic abilities, and of course fire.
Do like myself a good lemonade, strawberry lemonade in particular. And one thing I do want to talk about, which is actually kind of an interesting conversation that I wanted to bring up in the first game, is the amount of Unite moves in this game that are like complete geometric like figures, like circles and squares and triangles. In that first game, we saw like a bunch of them, right? We saw like I was pointing out the Mimikyu's. Well, it's not a Unite move. I was pointing out the Mimikyu's Trick Room. It places a giant square, like a giant pink square on the field, and you have the Triad Blitz from Rapidash. You had Sai-AI, that's like big circles that's just coming out. You know, you had Brave Bird too, also putting a smaller circle. So many like geometric things. I was like, you were having a play-by-play moment there, and I was just like, oh, look at all the cool shape.
I'm so sorry. Wait, was I that boring? I'm so sorry.
No, I wasn't listening. Yeah, I was just looking at all the shapes. It was like really cool.
Do you think it's possible to mod Unite so that every single time a square pops up or a circle pops up, you know, green screen it with like one of our faces?
that would be very distracting.
Target.
Let's say. Very distracting. I mean, you have a face already behind you, so you're already halfway there.
Yep, I'm halfway there. But 2 ducks beside me as well. Choose one.
Is the platypus a duck? I don't know. It has a duck bill. I don't know if it is a duck.
It's a bill. It waddles. The duck.
Platypus are really interesting creatures.
really
interesting creatures.
My controller. Those are interesting words for production. Great. Glad to know production was focused on playing the game more than, producing. But that's fine. That's fine.
All right, looks like we got Adesu coming up here for Galarian Rapidash this time. So this
Was
time,
that
KOMAI
so- look!
Esports is actually flipping on this side. So double speedster look for KOMAI Esports, whereas Los Caducados, they had double speedster on their side. These two exact speedsters once again. So let's see if they can pull something out of that hat here with their double speedster composition.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm backing up from KOMAI Esports. Los Caducados has Lucario, has a better skin. Like, what am I supposed to say?
Double Lucario,
Hacks
level
on me,
that.
Shabam!
I don't think you can hear production is yelling specifically at one of our casters here, but double Lucario action in the top path. Hoopa will head into the central area to see if they can get some sweet donuts out of this Froakie here. Is going to contest over a couple of the wild Pokemon. I think they were able to get it too. 2 score there. It's 2 Aeos energy there in the pocket of that Hoopa, and Jose is actually going to vacate this central area completely at this point of the game.
Right. Which is a little bit of an interesting problem here. At this point, I mean, there is still half a buff worth. I think he just wants to respond to his need to stop the Lucario from, getting away with so much here. We can take a look at the top side here. See how, of course, they kind of need to respond early here. Now that the Froakie is back, he's kind of a disjointed, kind of spawn for all his buffs. Which is going to be a little bit weird, especially since he's not hitting his levels just yet. He'll hit 5 after the buff and 1 more camp here. Oh, no, just the 5. And now he's able to respond his team. It's just so weird for him.
Yeah, it's going to be a little late for the rotation as well. Reliark is going to try to get a KO on Toast here. Oh, can they get it with the Bubble Beam? They unfortunately do get it. A different Bubble Beam, that is. Jose is going to be able to get the knockout there. Really high-value KO for a Pokemon like Greninja in this early game. They really need to scale into the mid to late portions of the game. They will get there close to level 6, KOing the enemy team's jungler.
Right, and which is a great start moving into that here. Look at this fight as well. There's not really much you can do. We have the Rapidash somehow coming out with 1. On the other side, we also have Cluster going down. I mean, that's interesting to say the least here. Nice trade back and forth. But moving into that here, the Lucario fight is the most important thing here. This one will run up to top at some point. We can watch that later. Reliark versus Ghatlue here. Saved by the skin of his teeth. He was saved by Toast. This is a paid show. Damn.
Yeah, huge save there by the Hoopa player and getting the KO is Toast. Level 7 on this Pokemon as well. Here comes Jose trying to make quick work of that. Can they get the KO? They do! They get the knockout. I think it was one of the auto attacks, not even getting the confirmation of Surf. I don't think they would have had enough time if they waited for the execute damage to come out there. But nonetheless, KO streak of 2 for this Greninja, already taking over this game. Not in the late stages of the game, but in the earlier parts of the game. Really nice Ice Fang to grab one of the Pokemon. And it looks like Adesu is going to make their way over to the left side of the field. This Greninja close to level 9.
Right, they continue to see they can make any headways from this here. They're trying to find a way around it here. Reliark at 7 and Gatlue's at 6. Well, something's not right here. I'm not seeing where Ghatlue is at the moment here, but it looks like he needs his team to be with him right now. He's at the bottom side while the entire team of Los Caducados top side. They know what objective they want. They're going to prioritize top here. The adding looks really good. They want the EXP. And, rightfully so. They want to try to scale faster than my esports and maybe force fights. I can respect. But bottom side here, looks like they're going to be swapping out here a 26 point and potentially forcing this Regieleki to tier 2. I like where they're going in this. They're playing for the points.
And they get the scores in, they do not. E-Speed Lucario has the Bone Rush placed. They're probably going to retract here in just a second. Nope. They're actually taking hold of both points there, both chasing the Pokemon themselves and the Talonflame waiting by the place to Bone Rush. They will get the knockout eventually. Regieleki still looking fairly healthy. Ice Fangs to pick them up, put them back down. Should be an easy defend. But as we take a look at the minimap, KOMAI Esports, led by Ghatlue and Toast, 40 points in for the Talonflame. I don't know what the score is on the goals, and they will bring this down to 5. They can break this if they want to. They're going to continue to score on that goal zone. Small break there by KOMAI Esports just to get some positional advantage somewhere on the field.
Some, you see. I mean, they're going to try and fight whatever they can at this point here. They're pushing it back. No, KOMAI Esports needs to find some foothold by actually taking a fight here. If they're going to continue this onslaught, Lost Catacombs may as well just have the whole map, right? There's not much you can really do. Topside, no, Mega Lucario is looking quite handsome right there, making his way around the map here. No one can contest him, but with the dash of a main, it's going to be Galarian Rapidash who is going to be joining him up top here to see if he can make some headways.
We're about to eclipse the halfway point of the game, 212 to 121. Some jumbled up ones and twos there for both teams. Hope you don't have difficulty seeing some numbers because it might look like the same number there. But about a 90 or so-ish point lead here by KOMAI Esports, 91 to be exact. Just going over the halfway point of the game. Level 11 on your Talonflame plus ability on, I believe it's Aerial Ace, and level 11 on your Greninja on the other side. So kind of slower in the mid to late stages of the game for this Greninja relative to the earlier stages of the game. We'll go into that smoke screen. We'll find a Talonflame. Talonflame responds going up into the sky. We'll avoid it with the surf. Really nice avoid there here. It's going to use a Unite move just before going into the Hoopa portal, and back through the portal is a Mega Lucario.
And they're going to actually rip onto the Regirock here. I like the start. They're going in for it just a little bit more. There's the pickup here. Finally,
Huge.
He never misses. Power Punch locked in and ready to go. Goes on the Mamoswine here. That's the pickup here. And now, finally, they've got a full pack. KOMAI Esports have map control once again here, which means EXP should be in their favor. But I'm seeing a lot of empty spots on this side of the map.
Yeah, level 12 on your Talonflame will go up into the sky. We'll take a lot of that EXP as well. It's actually Fly and Flame Charge, by the way. And Lucario on the other side of the field will use their Aura Cannon this time. Unfortunately, no Mega Stone for them. We'll get a Mega Knockout nonetheless. No Mega Evolution available for Ghatlue at this point in the game, but it doesn't even matter. They should have enough damage to take this Regieleki. Send that to the tier 2. I don't think they have just enough time for a third Regieleki, but nonetheless, still your 2-1s score between these two teams about the last quarter of the game. Nice last time to use their Unite move, Rebel Rouser. Here comes the Water Burst Shuriken to escape from the clutches of Los Caducados. They will get a consolation prize of a duck. Regieleki still on the field, and both teams will go ahead and disengage.
Right. Now, let's take a look at the score points again. Nothing has changed from the score line being of jumbles of 1s and 2s here, but KOMAI Esports is leading in terms of that. Right now, we're going to see how they can turn this around. It's going to be a tough cookie here, Draco. They've got to make something happen at the 3-minute mark right now, which is either to get someone levels or find some points somewhere safe.
Tough cookie. Sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. Looks like the Psyduck and the Galarian Rapidash will go into a 1v1, just getting some vision for the team 1 minute before the Kyogre this time joins the fray. Toast will get reset by the Hoopa portal, just getting some vision for the team. Almost level 14. Nayat might go down here. Ghatlue getting a nice knockout there. 2v1 going against the other team's Lucario. Here comes the peel for Jose as well. It's a really weird scrap going on here. Wild Pokemon starting to reappear on either side of the field. They're just getting experience elsewhere by literally just KOing the enemy team. That's exactly what you want to do. Level 14 on your Talonflame, level 13, both plus abilities for Ghatlue. They will also get a prize of a Regirock on the top side of the map. Next 90 seconds or until they are KO'd, defense is boosted by 15%.
And that's a great start for them. They have a 90-second buff on that here, which is going to extend basically to the entire Kyogre right here. But the problem that I have now is the positioning. They're not in a good spot right now. They're still farming up for whatever it is they need to farm up. I think they're close to 14s maybe. But at this point, it's just kind of rough for them because they don't have any information. They're going to walk into bushes, letting Lost Caducados have the information. Started off here, a power punch to lock it in. No, nothing is really hurting them here. You see a beautiful Unstoppable here coming in here, and another close combat. On top side here, we're going to see Triforce into the Rubber Rouser, Aura Cannon. That's the Mega Lucario, but he's looking very low here. That's the Water Brush. Sure, going to clear it out here. The Trump card is down. Ghatlue is out the board here. Saya to see if he can help the team out to lock them back in place here, but KOMAI is playing a little bit more aggressive here. He's trying to make some plays. They're trying to salvage something here, and they do manage to pick up 2 on the side here, but not enough really to start in giant beast himself, that's Kyogre. They need a little bit more damage here. It's going to start with actually hoping that the Rapidash would want to join them, maybe.
Yeah, gotta watch out for that Lucario coming back onto the field. They do have a Unite move. Unfortunately, they will find their extinct Pokemon actually being taken off of the field as the Mammoth is taken down here. Lucario will get vision on the health of the Kyogre being brought slowly down by KOMAI Esports. Again, this is a time for Los Catocados to make a move here. They need this Kyogre. They need to get at least one score in. They will send a couple back to the Hoopa Hyperspace Portal, and look at KOMAI Esports on the left-hand side of your screen, those icons. They have that Hoopa portal still in their pocket, but more importantly, they still have 5 Pokemon at full HP.
Right. With that being said, though, full HP or not, time is ticking. Time waits for no one. You have to start taking a fight now. First pickup coming in is a Lucario from the side, and Bertello onto the Mega Mewtwo Y is going to be locked out of the fight here because he's low HP. Street comes in here. It's going to be one Surf maybe and a Dream that can really turn it around. Kyogre comes in at 50% HP, comes in at 40% HP, slowly ticking down. Jose waiting for an opportunity here. It's a smoke screen and a turn. He's waiting for an opportunity. Jose taking 50%. Auracana comes and he misses shots. That's gonna be it. 2-1-2 is the scoreline here. 2-1-2-1. They drop a point here, and this is going to be a big differential change here. I don't think there's anything that can change this outcome right now.
Huge game for KOMAI Esports, coming down 0-1 in this set from the first game. They went ahead and switched sides there. The side that got a score of 44 at the final stages of the game, but not enough as KOMAI Esports holds on to their lead, 212 to 165. I think 212 has been their number for more than 5 minutes of the game. They've scored that scoreline fairly early on. That 44 point for the Psyduck was probably the last score in the last, I think, 6 to maybe even 7 minutes of the game. Maybe we can take a look at the battle report really quickly here, but really low scoring game, but it doesn't even matter as KOMAI Esports is able to hold on to their lead and come out of this 3-1 out of weekend 2.
I mean, it's a really, really tough fight here. I mean, I think they were a little scared as well. They lost the first round. Maybe not enough warm-up. But I'm happy to say they made it out, thankfully. You know, with a little bit of a shit skin. But what can I do, man? You know, man needs to get paid before he gets a new skin, right? So, you know, forgiven. Looking at damage charts here, not a lot to say across the board here. They didn't really take a lot of extended fights. It was just fights that either got KOs. If not, they were really backing out here. The discipline to not take enforced fights here. Didn't really see a 6-7 anywhere on the board, so unfortunately you can't comment on that. But otherwise, very clean fight across both teams here. I think Jose had positioned a little bit differently here. Could have even potentially stole it for his team. So, oh well. But what are we going to look at is going to be the replays next first before we get to anything else. So maybe you want to wrap it up for us here. What you think about this game before we go into that?
Yeah, of course. I think this one of the interesting things about this set in particular, Los Catocados pulling a double speedster in game number 1, winning that game, KOMAI Esports pulling a double speedster in game number 3, and then winning this game. I think that just goes to show that even if they do not have that speedster buff that was during springtime of early last year, it was actually almost a year ago at this time. I think it was right around Pokemon Day when they were announced that they were going to add this new stat to those speedsters, and that's when they really took over the game for a couple of weeks or so. But you can still see their prowess is still extremely powerful in this game. And it looks like for KOMAI Esports, you can see the bans on their side of the field. There are 2 Pokemon that do really well generally into speedsters. That Charizard really good into the single target Unite move, and then same thing for that Mimikyu. And so, at least from the draft screen and banning, KOMAI Esports had a very clear composition in mind. They wanted to take out Pokemon that do really well into speedsters and then pick up that double speedster composition on their own.
Right, let's take a look at the replays now. The bumblebees that you're mentioning here, this duck-headed, well, he had it for a moment there, and Jose just trying to respond. Let's take the one. Ghatlue almost finished it off here, and there it is. What can I say? Jose is just a man of my heart. Both in terms of scaring me and, of course, making the play. Yeah, I think a huge game also for this Greninja too. I think just to piggyback off of what you were saying, I think they kind of slowed down, if anything, in the middle and late stages of the game as KOMAI Esports start to scale into their Pokemon here. I think the Greninja had a really good early game, but kind of slowed down as, in particular, the speedsters got to their 2nd and 3rd stage evolutions here. Really nice confirmation here by Ghatlue using that close combat, just a wall of DPS, and then
and the cleanup here by Toast. I think Toast also had a tremendous game as well. I think it was like 15 or so KOs to end their game. And I think Talonflame is in my opinion, a very underrated Pokemon. It's one of the speedsters that's been in the game since I think day one, and it's a very difficult Pokemon to deal with in the right hands, right? With a Pokemon that with huge macro presence, they have so much speed, they have literal iframes that take them up into the sky and make them a really difficult Pokemon to deal with. Right. And so Toast, level 14 at this point in the game. I think they're almost level 15 going into the final stretch. We'll see their score, their level here. Yeah, right into the final stretch, 150, level 15 on that Talonflame.
Yeah, agree with you there. It definitely made such a play. And in fact, it really scared me when we lost Ghatlue there very early on into this fight. I mean, hey, that was your trump card, right? Your ace in the hole. Lost it down. We had very random moves coming in here, but somehow they were able to make it out with a total of another 2 more KOs for the side of KOMAI Esports here. And somehow, again, the problem is no damage, right? They lost their trump.
Mm-hmm. 120 on the clock here. Again, they've had this. We took a quick look at the battles, the score summary graph towards the end of that summary there. They had that 2-1-2 score line for I think it was 6 minutes of the game. They scored it at the 6-minute mark, and then they didn't score for the remainder of the game. That Psyduck being the only score at the last 2 minutes of the game. But that is going to be it for today's week 2 broadcast here on Saturday. There's going to be another broadcast tomorrow with Nutera. And Bridget is going to be joining instead of myself. And we do have an update, not really an update, but just to reiterate what games you're going to be seeing tomorrow on Ghatlue's channel. It's going to be BH3 versus Volticons Unite, KOMAI Esports once again versus Engage this time, and then Los Cadocados again versus Poulet once again. So that's going to be the 3 games you're going to see tomorrow. I believe it's going to be same time as well. I'm not going to be able to tell you in European time. I can tell you what it is in California time, but I don't think it's going to be very helpful. It's going to be 4 a.m. start time here in California, but it's probably not very helpful for our audience members.
Yep, you're only fresh on Saturdays, as what I was told here. And Draco, thank you for bringing us down the loadout here. Why don't you give us a good send-off here? It's going to be a one-time do it. We'll get another chance another time, but as for now, this will have to do.
It's going to be thank you so much, production. 2 p.m. CET. I'm not exactly sure what that stands for, but for those of you in Europe, you know exactly what that means. But 2 p.m. tomorrow is when you're going to see BH3 Esport and Volticon Unite start off the show. Once again, Nutera and Bridget is going to be leading off that show. Thank you so much for Kyle for waking up a little earlier than myself, at least in the Eastern Standard Time. Hey, I think it was Siobhan who asked him to take the early set so Drake, you can get a little bit more sleep so he doesn't wake up at 4 a.m. But thank you so much for Ghatlue once again. Huge congratulations for winning your weekend 2 set. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow as well. And for those of you that are at home, stay safe. Have a wonderful evening for those of you in the EU region, and we'll see you hopefully tomorrow afternoon. See you in the next one. Bye.